I think the best idea is to bring into the heathen cult mega cathedral. You should bring the cleric of the god of murder.
This is why I'm trying to make an impression now.
Greetings, adventurers. This is Half Dice Full Save, here for another episode of our Pathfinder 2nd Edition adventure.
This title, We All Suffer.
Yes, there is only pain. Only pain. A couple of housekeeping things. In 2 weeks, I will be in Pennsylvania.
Oh.
We will not.
No. Only me. In the whole
That
state.
Dave knows of.
I won't be there.
You have a trunk, Dave.
But if you all happen to... Jesus Christ.
We theoretically could be in Pennsylvania.
Anyway, I will be at ClassicCon East in Pennsylvania.
Hey.
So if anybody else happens to be at ClassicCon East in Pennsylvania, come
It'll
down.
be pretty cool.
It'll be a good time. So yeah, that'll be cool. I got a little thrown off. I'm not gonna lie. But
The threat of stalking is giving you comfort.
anyway,
That's right of kidnapping
so
Sherry also.
other than that,
Potentially.
let's all take a deep breath. And here we go. So,
Concerning musics.
last time on Have Dice Will Save, the Dream Team finally made it into the dwarven city of Akas and settled in to the Blue Wall Inn, where there was, in fact, a blue wall.
It's very pretty.
Some of the party went and bought some armor. Some of the party went and bought
I got
3 months
the
of supplies.
cool armor.
They're just cool armor.
It's very cool armor. I'm really happy with it. I was playing it cool last week. I'm about to nerd out about this.
Some of the parties said
Don't tip your hand to the guy that that's charging you the money.
He must not know.
Some of the party
But I'm nerding out about this armor.
sat in a tavern
Yes, and
marveling
failed
at the
to
fact
perform with an
that the
instrument.
string on a magical weapon broke. Not a magical weapon, a magical instrument.
Yes,
broke.
a magically conjured instrument specifically.
Yes.
If you're technically using it right, it can be a magical weapon too.
Well, yes, but that was not what I was
Horn of
really-
blasting.
Thunk.
Got this really cool new spell, guys. It's summon improvised weapon.
Oh, Paul, this is what we each got. I'm gonna need that card back because that was my only copy that I kept. But that was what we each got.
That's good to know.
So, as we start out, you two have finished what you were doing. You are still in the inn, performing
Yeah, attempting to perform with a guitar.
more or less unsuccessfully. What is Emmeline doing all this time?
I think Emmeline was originally supposed to go with Thresh. Played too much League of Legends this week, guys.
It's like a different character.
Yeah. Slightly different. Small distinction.
Subtle.
Soul Taker, Skull Taker.
You know.
The same. It's the same. with Gresh to go get the supplies, but then I don't think I actually was
I don't
there.
think you did. Yeah, if you were there, you didn't say anything.
Emmeline was just hiding in a corner the whole time. Like, these dwarves are weird.
Hiding in
me talk to
Gresh's
them.
backpack.
I could go see the giant thunderstone of terribleness.
Good.
But you were going to come get me for the lightning. Oh, is Thunderstone or Lightning Obelisk?
Yeah, the lightning.
The big
obelisk.
lightning.
Yeah,
strike
you were
is
gonna go get
higher.
me before you did that.
Yeah, but Tessie's also like ruined all of Emmeline's lies.
Except for the one you just told to Tessie.
Ah, yes.
Roll deception. Retroactively roll deception.
Oh, I'm telling you, it's gonna work. She is a highly trusting little hobbit. That is one of her downfalls.
You're just like,
Joe, could you hand me that
It's not even.
card?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's just like, yeah. It's like, yes, we will go buy supplies, and then we will come back to get you. And then I went off to buy supplies, and I was like, where is Emmeline? Where did she go?
She just saw the
goes off
thunderstorm
on
and was
her
just
own.
like, okay, I gotta see it.
Because like it's a big lightningy evil magic spire. Let's go in alone.
Yes.
To go in.
Not-
I just
not-
want to look at
Not
it.
just go in alone. Go in alone without informing anyone where you're going. That is best plan.
That's how you get fun things to happen.
That's how you get plot.
Look, guys, I just like to poke at the GM stuff every once in a while.
Dave's like, all right, let's go ahead to Emmeline. Hits Bramble music.
So yeah, let's go see a Thunderspire.
Okay.
Emmeline has decided she's not sad enough.
So,
Never sad enough.
from what you can tell, the spire, which is super easy to find your way toward, because there's lightning striking it every minute or two, is basically dead center of the city. So it takes you a while to get there because you're kind of on the far east end of the city. But you certainly never lose your way. So you weave your way through the cobblestone streets of Akas. And you can observe that the closer you get toward the center of the city, kind of the older the construction looks. And you can kind of surmise that, like, on average, the city spread outward from this central point, with the exception of the walls appear to be of similar age to the older buildings toward the center.
Does it seem any less occupied because of like volume of consistent thunderstrikes or anything?
No. They see, and nobody seems to be particularly noticing the consistent lightning strikes either. It seems to be perfectly normal for them.
It's been this way since I was born.
Joe, something to file around the back of your head.
And so,
What were the three spells I could cast on the?
You can
Detect
cast
magic?
Mage Hand, Prestidigitation, and Detect Magic.
But notably not sending.
No.
No.
also you would be well outside the range of
Sending.
the,
Of Messenger.
yeah,
Sending,
the message spell.
Mm.
Sending you could do, but that's like a 5th level spell or something.
Yeah.
4th or 5th. Anyway, so you make your way through the city, and as you come up toward the center, you can see more and more as there are fewer tallish buildings between you and the spire. And you find that the spire is itself probably 4-ish stories tall, and comes to a point topped with like a metal rod, essentially,
Oh wow.
and then broadens out to almost like an obelisk kind of shape. And then at the base of that obelisk is what looks more or less like a cathedral, with this which is about 2 stories tall itself, and has these vaulted Gothic construction.
Is that 2 stories in addition to the four stories on top?
Yes.
So it's 6 stories.
Yeah, yeah. The peak of the spire is about 6 stories in the air.
Wow.
And as you get closer and kind of achieve a not directly on the east side angle, you can see that whenever the lightning strikes, there is a pattern of runes along the sides of the obelisk that kind of cascade downward in this pale blue light, and then hit the bottom of the obelisk, and you don't really know where it goes from there.
Dissipates. Hopefully. Probably not.
So what are you gonna do?
I'm gonna finish sneezing.
Gonna be allergic to lightning.
Terrible time for a sneeze.
You want to poke it? You want to touch it?
I would like to roll occultism to try and get an idea of some of these runes.
Sure.
That is a 26.
Okay. The runes are dwarvish in origin, so you're not super sure, but they appear to be essentially power transfer, like a power transfer apparatus.
Channeling the energy down.
Yeah, it is clear that it is designed to channel the energy of these lightning strikes into something. And you don't see anything at the bottom of the obelisk that would suggest dissipation, so presumably it continues somewhere into the cathedral itself. The obelisk is about like a third of the way from the back of the cathedral in. So it's toward the back, but it runs into the cathedral itself.
Is it busy? Or is it kind of abandoned?
There are people around the area, but nobody appears to be coming or going from it. There is a set of doors at the front, but yeah, they don't seem to be coming or going. There's also notably no apparent guard presence on the place.
No signs or anything?
There is a sign. It's in Dwarvish,
Uh-oh.
which as I recall, you do not speak.
I do not speak it.
That's why I didn't mention it.
See if you had Tessie with you.
Yeah, it'd be a good idea. She's got 0 wisdom, man. There's only so much I can do.
Yeah, and the front of the cathedral also has more like dwarvish runes that don't appear magical. They appear decorative, there are words and things over the front, but who can say what they might indicate?
She's gonna stay a bit to I'm assuming it's like an open area in front
Yes,
of the cathedral.
yeah.
Kind of hang out at the perimeter of that and observe people walking around and see if anybody does over time go in or out for 15 minutes.
Eventually someone does walk into the place, and then
Can I size them up?
the person,
Yeah.
they look more or less like an average citizen, as near as you can tell from what you have
Roughly
observed.
dwarf-sized.
Well, yes, it is a dwarf, a dwarven man who looks maybe middle-aged. He does carry a hammer at his belt, but it appears like it's probably a tool rather than a weapon. It doesn't have kind of the weight distribution you would expect for a weapon.
Does it have any markings or anything on it of significance?
The hammer?
Yeah.
It's a little bit decorated, but
But it doesn't seem like some sort of weird
No.
culty item.
no.
I do have knowledge cults too.
Yeah.
Lore cults.
Yeah, no, nothing about him screams cultist.
Okay. So it doesn't seem like it's off limits to general public.
No.
He's wearing a long brown robe, carrying a curvy knife. It's
Yeah.
nothing
yes.
culty at all.
He's carrying a curry knife, a severed goat head, the norm.
Just normal grocery shopping things.
The cloud of black tendrils stretching out behind him.
Don't worry about it.
It's
all
fine.
It's all fine.
But eventually you do see somebody that looks a little more peculiar, I guess, in that it's the first person you've seen interact that doesn't look like an average citizen. There is a young man that looks dwarvish, but there is a certain quality about him that you may or may not be able to place right off. I'm gonna say that's gonna be society.
Cool. I'm decent at that one. I also have... Yeah, really just society, I think.
Uh-huh.
Oh, 20.
20. As near
Pretty
as you can see from a distance, the light plays kind of oddly across his hair, but you can't really see it well enough to make a determination as to what that is. It just catches your eye for just a second as he moves toward the door. He is wearing...
It's L'Oreal.
maybe he's born with it. Maybe
That's a
it's
different one.
Torphiline. Shit. Now I threw myself off. What was I saying? Right. He is wearing robes. They don't look overly ceremonial, but they aren't plain. They're sort of a similar kind of deep cobalt along the front to what you saw in the blue wall. And then there's a pattern that stretches in like an inlaid panel on either side of the strip of cobalt on the front that from a distance you suspect is meant to vaguely evoke the thunderbolts, and it's in a lighter blue color, similar to the color that the runes use.
So it's at least related to.
Yeah. And he climbs the handful of steps that lead up to the cathedral and steps inside.
Cool. I think I'm going to take a... On seeing the interesting clothed man, I would like to kind of shadow him as a distance and see if walking towards it draws any attention. Walking towards the cathedral. And if nobody seems to be paying much mind, I might walk up and into the cathedral.
Okay. So you draw some attention in that you're an elf.
Yeah.
But no more than you have drawn, it seems, at any other point on your way to this spot.
Basically, I'm just looking for, like, more aggressive or defensive looks. Like, hey, you're not supposed to be here.
As it becomes clear that you're heading toward the cathedral, there are a few people that kind of give you that side eye, like, what could she want with this kind of look. But nobody seems intent on stopping you as such.
Party crasher? It's not a party.
Too bad you
That
don't
you
have
know
an
of.
overly loquacious halfling with you. That would change their intent to stop you real quick.
Yeah, I'm just gonna walk in the door. Fuck it.
Okay.
Onwards to the plot, boys.
Okay. So Emmeline disappears into the cathedral.
Emmeline is banished to the Shadow Realm.
I guess we can come back to that in a minute.
Wisdom of 0.
Oh, God. Cool. So let's leave that there for a minute.
It's just a church. You can go in and out. It's fine, you know?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, we know one thing. You can go in.
I will confirm. You pull on the door, it swings open like a door.
Yeah.
And we'll become more specific than that in a minute.
We did it, boys.
What's this wee shit?
You explicitly made sure that you did it.
Yeah.
You ruined plans for a we to be involved.
Hey, I didn't stealth or anything this time, you guys.
Is that supposed to be a positive?
Look, it's personal improvement.
It's personally improving your character by getting a
It's-
new sheet.
Your fault that you didn't say, I want to keep track of where Emily is.
She has a history of bad decisions, guys. And this is vaguely cultish, so...
Kinda, I guess. Even though
There's a
you
fucking
asked.
cathedral in the middle of the thing!
They're not allowed to have a religion. Never mind. It's vaguely
Wisdom
cultish.
4!
It's they're not allowed to have that religion if that religion is a cult.
So,
Oh boy.
let's take a look at Gresh and what Gresh is doing after he's
Well.
secured his supplies.
I walk out of the building, feeling like I just did a good job. And then I look around and I say, Emmeline was right behind me. Emmeline. Because, like, they're dwarves, so most of them are small. There may
That's
be
true.
a couple of humans or half-orcs-ish.
There's an occasional orc or half orc around.
Sometimes
There
there's-
are a few human or human-sized people. Most of them aren't right by you, so
Yeah. But
it's
I
difficult
can
to tell
look,
exactly. But
I can look out and see a sea of shorter people.
yeah,
And then
with a few
with a
taller
few taller
figures.
people, but none of them are wearing the clothes.
No.
That,
So unless she pulled a quick change act, which
she can do.
maybe
I will investigate.
Okay.
I will attempt to see if I can discern if any of them look like Emily.
sure,
Basically.
that's
Just-
going to be perception.
Yeah.
Gotta miss that old sense motive check.
Where?
Well, that's what it was
person
perception anyway. So.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Because I'm just like, where did my friend go? That is a 18 and 6 is 24.
24?
Yeah, this is 24.
You don't see anybody that looks particularly like Emmeline, outfit or not.
Maybe she head back to Blue Wall. I will check.
She just wanted to admire the wall more.
Yes,
It's a nice wall.
it is.
It is a nice wall.
It is nice wall. But we said we would go get Tessie, so maybe upon concluding my business, that is where she went. Okay. Again, this makes sense. And then I proceeded to travel best I know to Blue Wall,
Okay.
which we were right up the street, I believe. So it might even be an eye shot of me.
Yeah, it's not very far. It's in the same district you are, certainly. So,
Okay. Yes. So
it takes you a couple of minutes to get there, but it's not hard.
I throw open the door. I see annoyed patrons looking at a confounded Tessie.
Why is this out of tune? Again! These are magically summoned. This is the third one that's been out of tune.
There's a small pile of summoned instruments.
Yes,
Just-
they're still staying around
I
somehow.
don't
That's not how the spell is supposed to work.
understand. This isn't how. I'm sorry.
Te-
I'm sorry, guys.
Tessie.
We'll get it sorted in a moment. This isn't how that works.
Tessie.
It's
Have you
not
s-
how that works.
I believe you. Have you seen Emily?
Oh, lifts up tablecloth. No.
You never know when she might be under the table.
It's a good place to stealth.
It's not a good place to be lordly, though.
No.
It's not a good place to be better than other people.
You know, it's a great place to be better
Sometimes
than other people.
Emmeline's priorities shift a little bit.
Cathedral.
Is Ivan? Is he here?
Dwarf not Ivan, dwarf not Ivan, dwarf not Ivan, dwarf
You
not
looked
Ivan.
down to find Emmeline, but up to find Ivan.
I mean, Ivan is taller than her.
It's true.
No.
And also less likely than Emmeline to be under a table.
I wouldn't necessarily
Too
say
high.
that.
Under a table too high.
I feel like that would be the only place Ivan would feel he could hide. And he wouldn't hide there either.
Declaring hunt prey on Emily.
Okay.
Where did you go?
Emmeline is now the target of your hunt.
What else am I supposed to do?
I'm not criticizing. It's a good idea. You get bonuses to identify Emily.
Emily
Find
starts
out
getting
all
like
kind of things.
chills, like somebody's after my skull.
Suddenly my skull feels threatened.
My skull senses are tingling.
Okay. Emmeline was with me, but after I concluded my business, she was nowhere to be found. I will return to shop and investigate scene of disappearance. Would you like to?
I'll come with
accompany?
you.
Excellent. Let us go. Perhaps if we see Ivan along the way, we shall grab him.
Anyone want some firewood? Because these are useless. Points at guitars.
It will be very useful on the road. But for now, let us go.
And that's when they
Yes. Right about the time you abandon the idea of playing them, they vanish.
They're just like, fuck you.
Oh, fuck all of you. Not you. Them. Let's go.
But let us go. We have no time for these things.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to race back, keeping an eye out just in case I can see any indication of Emmeline or Ivan. I'm also looking for Ivan.
Sure. Would be about the time that Ivan has done armor shopping. So, depending on where you would go next.
So, likely I'm gonna just wander the city looking for interesting things.
Okay.
Which means that there's one very obvious, very big interesting thing to check out. But it depends on how many things would be distracting on the way to that.
Okay.
'Cause-
It is a dwarven city. So there are an above average number of drinking halls and ale stalls and things of this nature.
And pretty girl
F in
dwarves.
the chat, boys.
And yes, obviously a higher than average number of female dwarves as well. But
He's definitely... So, is it getting close to like midday-ish, or...
yeah, probably about you're probably at like
He'll
11 or noon.
probably find someplace that looks like kind of like a nice dwarvish like
Cafe.
yeah, like some restaurant, some place that serves good proper dwarven food, but something kind of nice, you
Okay.
know. And will after having a nice lunch probably be looking to sample some of the fine establishments along the way.
Okay. So that'll keep you busy for a little while.
What's the restaurant I come across?
There. You want me to name it? Okay.
Yeah, I do.
There is the Leaping Goat, which at the front has a pair of like a sign shaped like a pair of mountain peaks with a goat in mid-leap between them. And it's not like the little goat you saw in Zalsvar. This is like a big ass
like
mountain goat
fucking
ram.
big
kind of
old
thing.
yeah.
It's like halfling riding goat.
Yes, this is like you've seen these before. They're twice your size.
This is the dwarvish mountain World of Warcraft.
Exactly. And it's it's a nice enough place from what you can tell. And as you step inside, it's fairly busy as you get toward the middle of the day. It's a little less boisterous than you are used to back home, which is something you've started to notice about this place in general. You're not used to dwarves being quite this quiet.
Reserved is not usually a trait for dwarves.
Yeah. But here, they're not Cadia reserved. And they're definitely not Scortile, reserved. But they're not quite dwarvish forward either.
Okay. I suppose I'll walk in and... Do they have someone at the front seating people, or is it like a walk-in seat?
No. It's not that kind of restaurant.
Sure. He walks in...
There does appear to be a couple of servers circulating the place, but they just kind of like take note of you as you enter the place, and you can almost see them mentally add you to list of people I'm going to have to bring things to in a minute.
Is there a big old haunch of meat roasting on a fire?
Oh, you don't see it, but you can certainly smell it. Somewhere there is large meat.
I walk in my...
Look, I'm still in that tiefling.
Like, it's called the leaping goat.
Yes.
I'm assuming there's a big old goat haunch somewhere just
Does
fucking
smell
roasting.
kind of like goat.
Hey, probably still have that armor on, too.
Yeah.
So I walk in and...
Showing off.
Yeah, in my shiny
There are some
new
people who look
giant
over and
plate.
like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
The
Because
Inquisition is
you
here.
have noticed that the city guard does have a uniform, and you don't see that many people with arms and armor outside of that, which in an average place isn't that weird. But your experience thus far has been mostly Skyvuskil and Cadia, where the number of people armed is significantly higher than in many places. So anyway, a lot of people are a little bit taken aback by the sight of this armed and armored dwarf that does not appear to be in any way associated with the city guard.
I'll kind of strut my way into the first open table I see
Sure.
and kind of sit down and wait for someone to come up.
Okay. It takes a minute, but eventually a server cycles around to you. This one is a male dwarf. He's got sort of the darkish hair that most people in this city seem to. And he looks middle-aged for a dwarf. He's got, that sort of like the lines are starting to form to kind of accent the shape of his brow and the cheekbones. He has a gloriously full beard, which he appears to do absolutely nothing to. It is possible that this beard has not been like trimmed or cared for beyond like throw some water at it since before you were born. And it is a big beard. But he does sort of have a netting that like overlays it.
He's in food service.
It's almost like a second apron.
Little tiny beard apron.
Yes. Except that it's, transparent. You can see through it. It's made
Gotta
of netting.
show off the
Yeah.
beard.
Yeah, exactly.
Beard window.
All the dwarves have one. It's
Which you haven't seen any restaurant ever where that is the case. So maybe the standards are different here. But he eventually circles around to you and pauses in front of you, looks over your armor. Can I get you anything?
well, what is the meat you have?
Mostly goat. But we have some other things. Right now, the goat is the only one hot.
I think I'll try some of the goat. Do you have what do you think the best way to have it is?
I like my goat stewed,
You think the stew?
but we do have a lovely sandwich. Have you ever had goat sandwich? It is good.
I think I'll do a goat sandwich and what's your favorite of the local beers?
I like the dark ale.
A goat sandwich and the dark ale then.
He nods toward you and then moves over toward the back and disappears kind of past a spot that you didn't really notice was a door. It's sort of like fit into the wall between this like arched feature, but he just kind of like leans against it and it swings open and then just kind of swings back shut. It's kind of impressive actually. And then a few minutes later, well, okay. Yeah, a couple minutes later, he comes back out with this mug. It's a metallic, like maybe a pewter kind of stein. Mm-hmm. It could be pewter or it could be some other kind of, stainless metal. But he sets it in front of you. It's interestingly decorated. It has like scenes of goats leaping about. It is clear that it's branded for the place. And it looks like it's been around a while. So maybe this place has some age to it. But more importantly, there is this like rich looking dwarvish ale inside it.
Okay. I'll
And then he, without a word, just like goes by, kind of like just sets it on his way past and disappears back toward the kitchen. It's going to take a little longer for the actual sandwich.
cool.
But
Bust him up and try it. What's the quality of the dark ale?
it's good. It is. It's different than the dwarvish ales you are used to. It is clear that the brewing process has developed a little differently in this region. But it's real solid.
I will drink a nice dwarven ale and eat a big goat sandwich.
Yeah.
And that's my...
Before long, he comes back out with the sandwich. It's made with something that the closest parallel would be like a pumpernickel. It's like a dark brown bread that has been toasted, and there's some kind of sauce you're unfamiliar with involved. But it's got this sort of like it's a heavy sauce that has just a little bit of a tang to it that you can't quite place. Maybe some kind of like sharpish goat cheese or something is the base. But in any case, it's a very good sandwich. He was not lying. It's a solid sandwich.
Sounds like I have a pretty good lunch ahead of me. That's Ivan's plan for the moment.
Okay.
He's
Probably sample a couple.
weird. It's fine.
Probably sample a couple more beers there while he's there. Spend some time there before wandering, doing a bit of a bar crawl on the way towards the spire.
Yes. So that is your end goal, is to get to the center of town?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
big and flashy and interesting, and as he doesn't know what direction to go, so that's as good a landmark to head towards as any.
Okay.
And let me know
So
if
you're gonna
you
kinda-
want me to run into something that you want to throw
Oh,
at
sure.
things, let me know, because I'm just wandering the streets looking for interesting things on the way towards the spire.
Yes, indeed.
So let me know if I see something worth stopping for.
He's like, I'm showing off my armor.
Basically.
City strut.
Okay.
And the townspeople are like, "Why's that dude got armor?"
How much is like a meal like that? usually?
A few silver.
Okay.
Like 2. complete with, however much of that solid ale you want to drink.
Yeah.
So, Emmeline,
Yeah.
you step into the cathedral, and immediately the quality of the light changes entirely. Outside, it was a reasonably bright day this late in the day, adjusted for the fact that there is a constant cloud cover over Akos. But so, it had that kind of like pale gray cast over everything out there.
Yeah.
In here, all of the light is spilling through in these beams of shades of blue and pale yellows. As you step inside this massive hall, as near as you can tell, this cathedral is a single hall, like a single room that goes both stories up and all the way through to the other side. It's like a city block sized room.
Wow.
And on, it's not quite that big, but it's, it's like,
It's still massive.
yeah, it's pretty big. It's like 50 feet wide or so and a couple 100 feet long. And at the far end is this floor to ceiling panel of stained glass that vaults at the top along with the shape of the rest of the cathedral. But it is displaying this kind of diorama, I guess, of a great pale blue colored dragon. Sort of like curling around a mountaintop.
So that's the dragon.
Yes. Not long after you step inside, you kind of hear a faint crackling sound from somewhere above. And your gaze gets drawn up from the stained glass to a set of runes that illuminates blue coming down along the ceiling and down the walls. Right about where you figure that obelisk joins at the ceiling. And when it hits the floor, it spills from the far end all the way down and illuminates this intricate frame of kind of... It's similar in some ways to like Celtic knotwork that spills all the way along the floor and creates this sort of square frame, maybe 10 or 15 feet inside the walls, and it just like traces the entire square shape of the floor.
Wow. Is there any like runes or anything in those carvings, or is it just basically Celtic knotwork?
Yeah, there doesn't appear to be any distinct runes to them. It almost seems... In fact, roll a cult for me.
Wee. Hey. Can I do math? 27? 37?
37. That's pretty good.
Hold up.
So, this on the floor is not rune work as such. It's a sort of really intricately laid lattice that takes the energy that is being transferred down and converts it somehow. To what? It's difficult to say.
I have to see more of where it's going.
Yeah. But
If it needs that much power, it's probably not friendly.
Who can say?
who can say? Maybe they're converting it into unicorns.
Are using it to power the city.
Yeah. Maybe they're 3D printing goat sandwiches in the basement. Who knows?
That'd be fucking rad.
Is there any sign of the people that I had seen go in?
Yes. I'm kind of like following where your attention would naturally get drawn
Yeah,
through the
absolutely.
description. But once you have noticed that, your
That would obviously
gaze is
take
back
fire.
down toward like eye level, and you start to notice the layout of the room. On either side is a set of vaulted arches so the central part of the cathedral is a little over 2 stories tall because the vaulting kind of like continues from the 2-story mark, and then the sides sort of flatten out for another 10 or 15 feet on either side, so you see this set of like vaulted pillars that support that spot where the ceiling stops curving, essentially. And in between a few of those, you see a set of, offhand, you see 4 suits of armor, or possibly statues. It's hard to tell like how functional it is, but they are this gleaming bronze, these gleaming bronze like dwarven forms, each one holding a double-ended warhammer, and each one sort of like in this staunch pose. And then along the center of the hall are like just inside that Celtic runework lattice are what look like more or less museum display cases. Your eyes haven't entirely adjusted to the dimmer light in here, so offhand you can't see what's in any of them, but there are displays that kind of run the whole length of the place. And so at some points, a display case will end and there will be like something else there. There might, there's a couple of spots where there are statues. One spot where like a painting has been propped up on more or less an easel.
Just little displays here and there.
Yeah, exactly. And they sort of run down either side of the center. And up at the front of the place, you see the younger dwarf that had walked in, speaking with what looks more or less like a taller female figure. But she's like 60 feet that way, so you can't really tell much about her from this distance.
Gotcha. Is there anybody else in the room?
Not at the moment.
Is this the one with the robes, or is this the one?
The one with the ropes. Yeah, the one with the hammer. Don't know where he went.
He's gone.
He gone.
He gone.
Slipped out the back through that stained glass window.
Absorbed into the floor.
Yes. He is one with the lattice.
She's gonna wait a pause just to see if anything happens or anything comes towards her, and if nothing does, she's going to move sideways to the first of the displays, not crossing the energy lines from above, because that just seems like a poor idea.
That tastes like 8d6 lightning.
Chain lightning. Delicious. It's worth noting that those lines trace directly under where normal people would stand to observe the displays.
I'm gonna stand just on the outside.
Oh yeah,
of
I'm just saying. Either it's the weirdest, most insidious trapped museum in existence, or it's safe.
Well, it's not that it's necessarily a trap, but it's just like, that has very obvious religious significance, so I'm going to stay outside of
Fair
it.
enough. Reasonable assessment.
It's not that I think I'm going to get fried, it's that I think it's going to be disrespectful.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna get right.
Yes. And in a building where you can't read any of the written instructions.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are a couple, several more spots, and a few of the displays that have like little like kind of plaques
I was thinking, like,
that describe, you assume,
you step
describe
up-
what's on it. It's
there's,
possible all of them say, we put this here so that a stupid elf would try and read them. But you don't know.
You look into the case. There's like a wooden statue of a fucking middle finger. And a little dwarvish plaque that says "Get fucked, loser."
Get fucked, elf. Look, high
Or,
intelligence
you know,
means
That's
I'm
why you
good
need
at
to be able to read
puzzles.
Dwarvish. How else will you know when they're telling you to just get fucked?
Little advertisement statues brought to you by the Leaping Goat.
Yeah. Actually, could I roll a
Free
society
sandwich
check
with punch.
for like warning signs of just like, hey, that looks like something that's saying that's the danger sign.
Sure.
Because that kind of stuff is fairly consistent across
Yes.
societies.
Yeah.
That would be a 22.
As near as you can tell, there's nothing that looks deeply like a warning around.
Yeah, nothing that looks like a lightning bolt and fire.
Like, no little tiny dwarven images of dwarven skeletons getting zapped by lightning. No.
There's no skull and crossbones.
No.
OSHA warning lines on the floor.
Oh yeah, I didn't mention the black and yellow striped line that runs just outside
Yeah.
the knot.
Yeah.
And the dwarvish runes for "Don't step past here."
Yeah, triangle image with a guy falling over in a little like ball.
It's supposed to be an elf ear. That's not even a fire. That's supposed to be an elf ear.
Oh, I didn't
makes
even
that
notice
way
that part
better.
of it.
That's good.
And that's the universal dwarven rune for elves get shot by lightning, I guess.
It's about a pictograph.
It's like the elvish version of that lawn sign that says "Trespassers will be shot, survivors will be shot again."
Yeah.
Like it's just needlessly aggressive. Anyway, so as you start moving forward, you can see a little better these displays, and there appear to be artifacts, pretty universally dwarven in origin, at kind of on spec. In the first display case, there's a couple of kind of like carved stone. They're not really tablets. You suspect they were probably part of a wall at some point, and then kind of got like pried off of whatever wall they were attached to and are put here. One of them is cracked cleanly through, but has been sort of like reassembled, but you can still clearly see where the crack had been. And you suspect it's not adhered in any way. They're just kind of like kept
It's rest.
together. Yeah. And there's a few things that are kind of anthropological, sort of like old rusted out weaponry. A few kind of decorative vases, most of which are missing pieces of them. And as you start to move forward, you start to see this kind of pattern of these artifacts of some previous era of dwarven life that apparently is now being preserved in this museum cathedral.
Cathedral.
Yeah.
It's legacy.
From consistencies of like a lot of the wall rubbish and things seem to be very similarly like this is from the same society, this is from the same time period, or is it like over time? Like
It's hard to say as you're not super deeply educated in ancient Southern Dwarven society. But if you had to guess, they're from the same era, which is to say pretty old.
yeah. But it's not like there's some things that are like really simplistic because it's from a bygone age, and then some stuff that's fairly complex.
No.
No. This is all from generally the same society.
Yeah, they all look to be about the same level of technological advancement involved.
And as I go down the displays, it's more of the same.
For the first couple of display cases, and then you come across a kind of a statue of a dwarf standing in this like upward gazing position, and in one hand he holds a staff that you can tell at the top it's supposed to be a crystal. It's carved from stones, but it is a crystalline shape. And he is sort of gazing up toward something. And there are pieces in here that have been chipped away. One finger on the hand that isn't holding the staff seems to have just broken off. Like part of his ear has apparently crumbled away at some point. But it's pretty well preserved for as old as these things look like they are. And you can still kind of catch the sort of commanding, authoritative look this guy has. And he appears to be dressed in robes not terribly dissimilar in style to the guy that you saw coming in. There's definitely some differences that you could attribute to societal evolution. But if you judge the style of robe you saw that guy wearing against the rest of the kind of clothing trends you have seen, that guy is wearing essentially...
The modern version? Oh, that guy's wearing the statue.
Yeah, the statue is wearing an older version of what the young dwarf you saw walk in is wearing, and the young dwarf you saw walk in is wearing old style clothes compared to the rest of the city. It would be kind of like if you walked into a museum and the curator was wearing Roman armor.
Or like a toga.
A toga, yeah. Like, and then there were some statues that showed you like older Greek versions of togas.
Oh, so historical reenactment dress.
Mm-hmm. Sort of.
Whoa.
Oh, jeez. Yes, it looks exactly like that.
Oh, wonderful.
That's
it.
It's
We need to get a little
a
scanner.
photographic representation.
Yes.
We need to get a
This
little
is my artistic rendition of the word picture that Dave has painted for us all.
We need to get a little photo scanner so we can just like scan our artwork into
Yes.
the.
We'll just
No, they
once
don't need to
we'll
see
just
this.
set up the board cam for it.
They don't need to see this.
Oh, but they do,
Don't
Joe.
they though?
No.
If they survived adamantine, I don't think I'd be good to kill.
You mean adamantine? You gotta say it right.
That's exactly
No,
what
Gotta
it
have the
sounds.
inflection.
One thing that does draw your gaze is around his neck. He is sculpted wearing a pendant that looks kind of like a very small stalactite suspended from his neck. And if you go past that statue, in the next case past him, there are a small collection of what look like very small stalactites resting inside the case.
Around dwarf snacks.
Yeah, just the neck. It's just a dwarf's neck with a stalactite around it.
Yeah.
It's been mummified.
Sorry. I will stop.
None of those appear to be suspended, or attached to chains like a
Are they
pendant.
drilled, not drilled, I guess, but are there like punctured where a chain or loop of some kind might have been?
Not that she's able to tell
Okay.
without
That
manipulating
can
them.
be, as a woman who wears jewelry, that with pendants of that sort, that can be hard to tell
Yeah.
if it's placed in
And
a-
also, it's
in a certain
possible that they
position.
would have like some kind of wrapped attachment at the top instead of being punctured. You could wrap it around.
Also,
They've got
it's
a slightly irregular surface, so it wouldn't be hard to get, jewelry wire.
I don't know why
essentially.
I specified it that way. Let me rephrase that. As a person who wears jewelry on of that type on occasion, it can be hard to tell the puncture.
That's fair.
You can roll nature if you want.
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
Nope. No, I
You
cannot.
cannot roll nature if you want.
I do not want to roll nature.
Brambo Man took his influence away before. Don't have that.
He
no
didn't
more.
take anything. He lost his ability to give it to you.
Don't have that no more. Yeah, I guess I'll just keep on to the next display, assuming that nobody else accosts me.
So
You take one step further and you just get fucking
you
Secret
get
Service
pounced by
tackled to the
dwarf
ground.
ninjas.
Yeah.
Museum alarm. Like,
You start
It's the hound.
you start to move further down the line, and eventually, the two figures at the front do take note of you. And
They're like, okay, you have been upgraded from tourist to threat.
elf detected. Elf detected.
curiosity, I think, would be more accurate. But
Yeah.
You have been deemed suspicious.
but the taller woman steps down. Like the front is slightly raised compared to where you are, and she steps kind of down and forward toward you. Not walking with any particular
Urgency.
or kind of like severity. And you see as she gets closer that she too is wearing a similar set of robes, though hers are lined with I guess it would almost be easiest to say, what's the right word for this? If you took the idea of like a gemstone, except it's carved from rock, it's made of the substance that created the striation in the blue walls stones.
So it's like gilded.
Sort of. It's essentially like the sides of the inlaid panels are run with these sort of. Why is it so hard to describe this picture in my head? So essentially, yay big, kind of oval discs of this stuff are kind of sewed onto the border of these inlaid panels.
Gotcha.
That took way more effort than it should. Usually language is my skills, my strong suit.
It's one of those days for everybody.
And your society is good enough to give you the idea that probably indicates rank or position, possibly, or function.
She's definitely more important than the other two.
Or at least different than the other ones.
There's something unique
Yeah.
going on here.
And she's got a like perfectly straight pale blonde hair that is pulled back into a kind of high ponytail. And as she gets closer, roll another society check.
My named NPC senses are tingling.
Interesting that you would think that.
37.
37.
Also, another thing I'll tell you later.
It suddenly occurs to you what seemed so off about the other dwarf. He also had perfectly straight blonde hair, which is very different from the normal around here.
Yeah.
And both of them almost have a metallic sheen along it that creates this kind of like pale, almost white gold that you would identify as the characteristic of an Aasimar.
Fucking called it.
I didn't disagree.
I was
true.
wrong.
No, I
Where
know.
did that? Did you call
I
it?
did.
wrote
He
a note
called
and
it
I
out.
passed it to him that
Yeah.
said Asmar with a question mark.
Oh,
And-
about the dwarf?
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that tells me that what I was going to say later was wrong. So.
Okay.
Really, when I read the note, all I saw was ass, and I figured it out from there. I was like, Asmer.
Shut up, I can't spell. Knew it.
But she has this kind of like white gold hair, and looks at you with curiosity in her expression.
I'm gonna roll another society check, which
Uh-huh.
she's been kicking butt on these society checks, man. That's a 33.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, I did the wrong number previously. That was a 34 instead. But
I think 34 is what you said.
oh, okay.
But
I'm going out of my goddamn mind.
it's fine.
Society for a appropriate greeting of respect to somebody in a position of power for this city.
You have no idea.
Okay, then
you just,
more
like,
of
you
a
have-
multicultural
Sure.
acknowledgement. Then
Going from
General dwarf facing respect greeting.
Okay, you could go from the dwarf angle, or you could go from Score Tiles Society.
from like being raised in a like lordship position, like a lot of times you're kind of fulfill more of a diplomat role,
Right.
Or forced to. So kind of using a generic, maybe not even basic Cadian, but something similar to that of like society to society interconversational.
There, yeah, you've learned some gestures that by most societies are considered polite.
Yeah.
There's like a little incline of the head where you like deliberately break eye contact. It's not quite a like a gesture of subservience. So many consonants. But it kind of indicates a respect,
Yeah.
a certain amount of like
And I'm
acknowledgement of importance
going to use
to most societies.
The
Orcish
traditional
for this.
The traditional greeting here is extending a single middle finger upward.
Yes.
I'm going to do this in Orcish as well, because that seems to be a language that is common here.
Sure.
Because I don't speak Dwarven.
Well, she does not appear to be dwarven.
Yeah, but for the city has been mostly Dwarven.
Oh.
Yes.
I thought
She is much too tall to be a dwarf.
here. I thought she was like a Aasimar dwarf. Okay, that.
The other one's an Aasimar dwarf.
Oh,
This is an
okay.
Aasimar something else.
She is
Dwarfamar.
something else. Her hair covers her ears,
Sorry.
so if she is some degree of elf, that's a possibility. Though her features don't appear to be like quite as chiseled as many elves are. So probably human.
Just based on society for this city, would Orcish or Common be more appropriate? Obviously, I don't know anything about the cathedral, but for
Sure.
most dealings with people in the city.
You haven't come across anyone who doesn't speak common yet.
Okay, then Common will be fine.
This woman is somehow a particularly odd-looking gnoll.
Yes, she is the rare bald gnoll. It turns out
Outcast.
they look human under there. It's weird.
Aasimar gnolls, just human.
Outcast by her people
Yes.
for her great ugliness.
So yeah, I will extend a greeting and a sign of respect. And I will let her lead the conversation. She approached me.
Returns it. Is there something you are looking for?
I don't know much about Akos culture or anything. And being my first time in the city, I was trying to find places to gain an understanding. I hope that I'm not intruding here. If so, I can leave.
No. It is here for people's use.
I was trying to glean
Roll another society check for me.
just society all day today. Oh my god.
I think society is the right one for this. It's either that or perception.
All right, I think I need to use a calculator because I've gotten like 35 exactly on 3 different numbers on this dice, so I can't add 17 correctly. That's what's happening here. They've all been over 30.
Sure.
35.
But yeah, okay, that is 35. Then the other 2 were like 31 and 32.
Okay.
Wow.
It's a rough day. It's fine.
It's a hard brain
30
day
plus,
for all
like
of us.
the DC for a standard check at this level is exactly 30. So
Yeah, these have all been
You're
over
fine.
30.
um,
I keep my calculator on standby though.
there's something about her demeanor that reminds you of someone, and it takes you a second, but it's weirdly reminiscent of Pasha. Of his sort of like slightly stilted affectation. It's much less evident where he almost has this like, you know, he's an extraplanar entity. He has
Yeah.
this sort of alienness about him. She has much less of that, but there's something about it that kind of echoes that a little bit. Like maybe she learned to speak common from someone who did have this affectation.
Pasha got drunk, had a one-night stand, got with an Asimar.
Look, man, things happen.
It is more or less the right color of hair.
How much is known about Asimar in this world? I know that we know that they exist, but do we know anything about them from a Cadian standpoint?
Cadians, especially well-educated Cadians, would know that they are, to some degree, scions of celestial creatures.
Okay, so it makes sense, like, that there would be some similarities.
Yes. From your sociological standpoint, the idea that she would have had enough contact with a celestial to take on some of their affectations would be real weird, though.
Oh, yeah, because we didn't find out about those until recently.
As far as you're aware, Pasha is the first celestial on this plane in 2,000 years.
Okay.
It just means she's 2,000 years old. It's fine.
It's fine, guys. Don't worry about it. Okay, I will be more guarded, but not gonna show anything.
Roll deception.
Hey, I'm super good at deception.
I mean, if you're trying to hide any particular reaction to that, then
Not really.
deception, but
it's a thing to know, but not like something that would be like, oh my god.
sure.
Oh no!
And the knives come out.
Fucking stab him! She's an angel, kill her!
The best sentence. She could be an angel, you don't know.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Asimar come from all kinds. You might be part Azata, who knows?
Fuck.
They're chaotic goods.
Oh, okay.
They're chaotic good outsiders. They're great. Is what they are.
I'm rethinking some of my life choices.
To become an Azata, or
Do not make a character that
oh,
is an Azadics due to not knowing they exist.
oh, never mind.
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I was just trying to glean what I could from. You can tell a lot of a culture just from the things that they keep and what's important to them. And this seemed like a place of importance.
It is. This is the Stormwarden Archive.
Okay, writing that one down.
Well, hey. If you were coming to investigate pre-disaster, God war things,
You know, if you were looking for an archive or something.
this is probably a pretty good place to start.
And I am
If only the rest
its
of the
archivist.
party knew about it.
She's the archivist?
Yes.
Okay. I was making sure I heard that correctly.
Sorry, I'm just being weird.
Very different from normal.
Yes.
So strange. So out of the ordinary for me to make random noises at times.
You good there? You need a minute? It's okay, we weren't doing anything.
I was not expecting it to make that loud or that obvious. I'm so sorry. I just wanted caffeine. I'm just wanting caffeine.
Oh my god.
Somebody came in and shook all of our carbonated drinks. It was the Azadas.
Samuel Azadas.
See, now, like for future characters, I kind of
Stand
want
by for
Zod
technical
ASMR.
difficulties.
I think it's standby for personal difficulty.
Yes, stand by for difficulties.
Look, you never
Rather
say.
enjoy our difficulties.
Stand by for technically difficulties?
Oh, they're definitely difficulties.
It's not technically about it.
Oh, stand by.
Just stand by in general.
Just stand.
Anyway, so
By me.
There we go.
Right, we were doing plot.
Yeah,
you were meeting a major NPC.
We're having
Yep.
like intense moments over here.
truly were.
Oh, by the way, I wanted to make an impression when I was trying to be very polite.
Sure.
Which is a 30. 31.
It's hard to say for sure, but she seems receptive to it.
An impression of some kind is
Yes,
made.
you
But
have
positive
made an
impression
impression.
Is what I'm aiming for. Maybe
Suspect it's probably positive.
Congratulations, I neutral you.
Yes, I do not have strong feelings toward you.
A lot of the archives that I've seen in other cities, I travel with a group of companions, and we've been around. Many times, especially on the main displays, you see kind of a progression of the society where things go. Here, I mostly see. It seems to be mostly reminiscing of a time specific.
Many of our artifacts come from shortly before. You are Cadian from your accent. From shortly before what you would call the Dragon Rebellion. These artifacts were collected from dwarven settlements that were destroyed during the rebellion. I suppose I should be more specific. From the settlements of dwarves who were aligned with the dragons, as many here were. This is to preserve a material record of the societies that existed before the end of the dragons. I am here to preserve a record of some of its knowledge.
Is that a position that is passed on usually, or have you been since?
I have been the archivist for quite some time, but the position is passed from one to another. Shit, what did I name him?
That means we can steal it. No.
I
We can steal the position? Vote for Emmeline. 2021 archivist.
That is my trainee archivist, Rodion.
It doesn't seem. There doesn't seem to be a lot of people that come and go from here.
It is true that public interest in these artifacts is limited. She has a kind of non-expressive way about her, but you pick up just a little hint of disappointment in that statement.
Well, if it's interest she wants, she's about to get a whole lot more of it.
Yep.
Didn't bring the hobbits.
It's okay, Tessie.
The Enigma Bard, who's all about the lore.
Who has now chosen dedication into the archaeologist archetype.
It will be okay, Tessie.
Look, man.
We will find her. You see
You
this
know.
boot print?
Look,
It
it
is-
really brings.
It's either from Emmeline or from a
65% her.
weirdly small-footed dwarf. Who can say?
Yes, I am 65% sure that this boot print is Emmeline's.
Look, man, party crashers gotta crash some parties.
I am 75% sure, based on the sense.
The sense.
Emmeline wears perfume, no?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
this sense.
sure.
The sense.
She doesn't usually wear it
think-
on her shoe.
It wafts in the air.
I think the best idea is to bring into the heathen cult mega cathedral. You should bring the cleric of the god of murder.
Well,
This is
we
why I'm
haven't-
trying to make an impression now.
and we haven't seen you yet, so
Before you
enjoy
get-
your beverage.
Oh no, don't worry.
It's a
He's just
museum.
getting drunk first. That's gonna
Yes,
improve the
That will
situation.
improve.
Oh yeah, that's so much
Surely
better.
that will
You're
improve.
having this incredibly civil, fun conversation with this lore person, and then me and Tessie bust in hot on your tails like
Crash, it's a museum.
it's just, and then fucking Ivan just
Ivan's-
shows up late, drunk, and it's just like,
Ivan just boosts the door down. Where's the dragon at?
he's like
I'm here to kill the dragon.
I will fight your dragons.
Shh, it's a museum.
Oh, sorry.
And
Anyway, I should have all of that happen right now.
reactive your faux pas. I rolled a 1 for you, so
For
you know
what?
for your like prevent faux
Preemptively
pas.
to stop him from doing it.
Yes.
It's a 1. Don't worry.
Natural
Well,
one.
that's gonna happen later.
I know, I
We'll
know,
get to
I'm
that.
sorry.
We'll get to that.
We'll get there.
Chaos ensuing.
Yes.
It's
or
just
incoming.
building. Don't worry.
It's just a building. They burn down all the time. It's fine.
Oh my god.
Insurance is a thing these days, right? Right, guys.
Anyway,
Back to the important
back to the
conversation.
important conversation. Where was I? Right before, just before the dragon
Yeah.
rebellion. Yes, sorry.
I'm not familiar with the language here yet. Would you mind walking me through some of these displays?
Certainly. I suppose we start where you first began looking. She begins to walk you through these artifacts. She talks about, you know, the panels from the wall being markings of temples that had been dedicated to dragons. And she refers to them as the dragon gods.
Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna argue.
I might.
But
That's why we're not here.
yes, so these were parts of temples that were dedicated to different dragon gods, and over here we have parts of pottery and such used in elements of ritual that would hold ritual components. And here we have this is one of our most prized possessions. This statue is of the form taken by the great worm Akor when
Spell that?
AKKOR.
Thank you.
Yes. When he chose to take a mortal shape, he would become this dwarven form, and she is speaking of the robed dwarf with the staff. Yes. That high quality illustration. That is. Also, I don't know why you put the thing on his head. It was a pendant.
No, I that was a crown.
that was
just my style, my stylization.
A prescient thing since he's a god.
Yeah.
So, or at least worship like a god.
Did it show it in focus?
It did.
Hey, you did it.
Okay.
Kind of. The autofocus on those cameras was bad.
Oh, fair enough. Well, I don't
we'll
want to
fix
fuck
it.
up the
We'll
white balance.
post it on the Discord later.
Yes. Anyway.
I wasn't aware that there were more than one dragon god. I knew of the Great Worm, but that's
Yes.
all.
There is some disagreement about how many there were.
Pry into that door.
I am most confident that there were 6, but it is possible there were as many as 8.
Question from the viewers. The viewers being me.
Yes.
How many
Person
members-
viewing this scene.
Yes. How many gods are there in the conclave?
6. Interesting.
Mm.
Fascinating.
Wait a minute. Well,
Yes, right, indeed. Yes.
Huh.
ah.
Okay.
Oh no.
Carry on.
Oh no. Emily's
Most
ring.
intriguing.
That one I will try and keep a straight face on.
Sure.
What would that be? Deception?
Yes.
30.
To conceal your motive? Okay.
Consider reaction.
Yeah, conceal your reaction, but yeah. If she notices it, it's not obvious. She doesn't have any kind of strong reaction to your reaction, at the very least.
Yeah.
So,
It's gonna be good.
The the pendants around his neck. I noticed that there are many in the next.
they are a natural phenomenon sacred to a core. They're, well, I should say, they are a natural phenomenon used to make a decoration sacred to a core. The formation is called a fulgurite. It is what happens when lightning strikes sand. It creates these melted sand formations.
Super cool.
On their own, they are melted sand, but in the ancient times, servants of a core would use these to create I suppose we would refer to them as artifacts now. At the time, they would be talismans, perhaps, or
So focuses.
focus items, things of this nature, signs of their devotion.
Is she wearing one as well?
She is.
Okay. And they all look about remarkably the same.
Yes. I mean, there is variation. They are a naturally occurring phenomenon, so
Yeah.
they aren't identical or anything. But
They are incredibly fascinating to look at.
yes,
Like I've
fulgurites
seen
are
a couple
very
in
cool.
I've seen a couple like in museums, and they are really fucking cool. It's like some of them take the shape of the lightning strike
Yes.
that hit them.
Interestingly, none of these appear to be quite as branching as some of those fulgurites are. It's possible that these are some of the few that survived from the era because they were mostly a straight central structure that only deviated from that straight pattern, so they created a fairly strong shape.
Oh yeah, look those up if you have.
Yeah, fulgurites are very cool.
Yeah.
For real. It's an actual thing, and they're great.
I've not seen them, but I've heard of them.
Oh, they're incredible. All right,
very
I'm gonna stop distracting myself with that.
This is what
got
happens
a
when you smash a portion of the sun into the sand.
Yes.
It makes
Or at
cool
least some
shapes.
plasma that is not dissimilar in temperature to the sun.
And they're kind of rare because
Yeah, because
lightning
lightning
does
doesn't
not
strike sand that
all
often.
Yeah, because sand is
Sand
usually
tends to be
pretty
pretty low.
Yeah.
This building is quite impressive. I've not seen.
It's a fulgurate.
Yeah.
Lightning
obelisk.
struck a beach right here in the mountains where beaches are.
Yes. Even though there's no sand anywhere around us.
And it created this temple, full cloth.
Was this a Dwarven craft, or was this from before?
Our best record is that it was made by the dwarves. It was the first structure here. Originally, it was a temple to a core. And sometime after the war, it was converted into this archive. When the first archivist was appointed.
Want to ask about the Thunderstrikes. Can't ask about the Thunderstrikes.
I mean, you can.
You just might not get an answer.
You might not get an answer, and it might be terribly impolite. You don't know.
It feels terribly impolite, which is why I'm not asking about it. So I'd like to just keep on moving down
Sure.
the displays as she's willing to.
Yeah, she goes through describing many of these displays, and most of them are reasonably mundane, as you would see in a lot of museums. It's kind of whatever they could get their hands on from the time. You notice there is absolutely no really written material from the time, other than like the runic signs that were marking out these temples. There's no books. There's no, stone tablets of written information.
It's because the
No
good shit's
letters.
in the back.
Nothing of the sort.
Well, as we're walking along, does the archivist seem like she's trying to avoid anything or keep me away from things?
You can roll perception or deception as you
I
wish.
would like deception?
Lie to me, because you've been talking to her this whole time. So
Trying to remember if I get anything else. I don't think I do. 29.
29. She doesn't seem to be. She seems actually fairly invested in sharing this information with you.
It makes sense because she literally.
Said that not many people were interested.
Yeah.
So it's just like, oh,
You
hello.
saw one guy come in, and he looked like a stonemason. Might have been fixing something, perhaps.
Yeah, I'm gonna just try and seem super engaged. I'm justifying my next society purchase, by the way.
Okay.
Society increase. But she's going to be like very engaged and get what she can out of those. If I'm like stray at all towards the line, does she react in any way?
No, in fact, she walks on the line a number of
Okay.
times.
Then I will at some point along the line walk over it and see if anything
Yeah,
happens.
it is cut into the floor. But at one point, you happen upon it at the same time that one of the pulses of energy moves over it, and it doesn't seem to do anything
Congratulations. You're now immune
other
to
than
lightning
glow
damage.
underneath your foot. Yeah, interesting. And also, you can transform into ball lightning.
Yeah! Ability unlocked.
Blessing of the Stormwarden. Congratulations.
Weirdly become evil, and now are a Spider-Man villain.
Yeah, I mean, that is the
No.
downside, is that now you're an NPC. But
I mean, this cost everything.
It was worth it. Worth it for them stat gains, bros. And then I guess as we get to the end of that aisle, then I will turn my attention to the runes and the general atmosphere of the place. the general cathedral of it. She's going to feign a little ignorance on how much she knows on the runes.
Okay.
It's going to be like, this is Encadia and Scortile, and where else? What was the third place that we adventured? Or did we just go into Scortile a little bit and then back up?
Yeah, you just went down into Scortile and then back. Other than Scortile, you've only ever been in Cadia.
I've never seen a structure like this before. It's very unique.
Its architecture is signature of the dwarves of that era, and its influence has been echoed heavily in Akos, as it is the central structure. Many choose to work elements of its architecture into their own buildings. But outside of Akos, there are some similarities in Orcish architecture, and even some in the architecture of the Uskil dwarves. But it is largely unique.
I've not been to Skyblue yet. I will have to visit south at some point.
I hear it is very nice.
What causes the lightning to strike here so frequently?
This was the primary temple to Akor, and he placed over it this perpetual storm.
I'm not gonna ask it. I'm not gonna ask it yet.
You're working up to it.
Yeah.
I don't need it. I don't need it.
I wanna know,
It'd be really
but it
funny.
feels like it'd be too much prying.
We just hang out, we hide here. The Scheitzender shows up and gets fucking struck by lightning. Hey, that'd be pretty fucking great.
Come at us, Sky Shifter.
Yeah, no,
We're
no,
not-
we'll go with you. You just have to come to Akos, come to the archive at Akos. We'll go with you. Yeah,
To the Temple of the Dragons. It's gonna be great.
yeah, just come on in.
Yeah, it turns out the entire purpose of the structure is to fry Authandi people. It just doesn't do anything else.
Get fucked.
The first person of
Authandi.
Authandi ancestry to walk in just
just
gets
like-
blown away.
It's just like a big fucking like a, like a obelisk of Nod from Tiberian Sun.
Basically.
Just walk up, just smites you with a laser beam.
They're just like, oh yeah, no, we're cool. We'll share all our secrets with you because if Akor didn't want you to know it, you wouldn't have survived.
The best part will be when Ivan makes it up there.
Yeah. Ooh. Data.
Yeah. So mostly Emmeline was here to gain what knowledge she could in as risk-free a way as possible. She's not interested in causing conflict or broaching difficult conversations. So with kind of coming to the end of the first walk path, I may be interested in coming back and learning some more. As I said, Dwarven culture and Southern culture in general is not well spread in Cadia, and it's something that I've been taking an interest in lately. Would it be okay if I came back and visited?
Of course. I will be here.
Thank you. My name is Emmeline
I'm Quintana.
Quintana. It was very pleasant to meet you, and writing that one down. Oh, over here.
K.
Quintanah. Quintana.
Q-I-N.
Quin.
T.
Quintanah. Quintana.
That's close.
Quintana.
And by close, I mean I was off by 2 letters.
Wonderful. That's not bad. I fucked up the first letter.
I also fucked
It
up
was
the first letter.
designed to be fucked up.
Yeah.
It's celestial. What do you want?
Archivist Quintana.
And with that, Emmeline's going to turn back to the door, and we'll come back with more lore people.
Yes.
Well, she'll come back with somebody else to play the fool.
Yes. She waits what seems like the precise amount of time as to be polite before turning back toward Rodion. And going back to whatever conversation she was having with him before.
Cool. Any sign of the other dwarf while I'm walking out?
Make a perception check for me.
It's not spectacular. It's almost like I'm in a giant glowing fortress place with lightning everywhere. It's 21.
It is a little distracting. You hear a faint sort of tink sound coming from somewhere. It's hard because of the acoustics of this place and the high vaulted ceilings to tell where from exactly, but you assume that hammer is being put to use in some location.
Construction.
He's not gone for forever. He hasn't been sacrificed,
Yeah.
as far as I can tell.
Unless his ghost is now hammering away.
That's the only way to repair the
Yes, you must sacrifice them and then have their spirits make repairs.
With that, she'll step out of the cathedral.
Okay. I think that is a good spot to take our break.
Yeah.
So, thank you for hanging out with us. We'll be back in about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then we will get through the second half of our adventure for the day. Until then, please stick around.
Get that lore.
See you
Stand
soon.
by.
Okay, we are back.
Jesus Christ.
What is happening?
The camera is so much better.
Yeah, because the sun is
I
changed
know. Well, I
angles.
put the things up, and it's
Oh,
like
that too. Yeah.
I am no longer like just this beacon of light.
The
Whenever I
worst
cast
thing
beacon
is,
of vitality, I'm just taking those down.
this is what you looked like at the beginning of the
I know,
stream,
and
too.
then the sun
It's just the
started
sun
setting.
has like 2 points in its descent that it just shines directly on you like this spotlight. So for like 20 minutes at a time, twice during the stream.
As we mess with false glasses.
Anyway, we're back.
Yeah.
Are we
Thanks for
though?
sticking around. Never. Thanks for sticking around. So, right before our break, Emmeline, you were leaving the Stormwarden Archive.
We've proved that we can go in. We're now going to test to see if we can go out.
The door opens and you walk out.
Hey!
As near as you can tell, it's to the same plane that you
The
walked
other
in.
side of the door is another cathedral.
And Quintana is standing there staring at you.
Welcome to the Stormwarden Archive. I am the archivist.
You are now a relic.
You are not part of the archive.
Congratulations.
We didn't see the thorns. It's fine. They don't know.
That you know of. Who knows? Maybe she has that crazy ASMR X-ray vision.
Cool. Nobody says anything. Nobody does anything. We're
No.
just gonna head on back to the blue wall.
Okay.
Well, you'll start.
Yes. You
As
start.
soon as you come into my second range increment, your chill goes up your fucking spine.
Oh God, my skull!
That's right, Emily. No penalties now. I draw my longbow.
I have waited for this moment.
I said that we would hunt together. I never said that you weren't going to be prey.
And I've got
The most dangerous game.
a horror movie.
To be fair,
Developing
Emily
my
probably
head.
is the most dangerous game.
He's not low on the list at very
I mean, it's
least.
like, so Gresh is sentient, right? It's
Yeah.
Are orcs really that? No.
Excuse me.
She's Katie, and I was riffing on Katie. And relax. I created the
Speaking of
orc.
racism.
Well, I created Aelarinian orcs anyway.
That's fair. Well,
I like the Aelarinian orc.
You created the social dynamics around orcs in Aileron.
Emmeline, we have been looking for you.
Hi.
So you get about a block and a half away before before Gresh catches up. Like you see him like walking along, staring at
I still don't
slightly
think her
disturbed spots of snow.
And Tessie's like, I still don't think her boots smell like her perfume.
It is, I told you before, it is wafting through the air. It takes a while to dissipate. I was not sniffing her boot.
Well,
Emmeline!
hi.
Hello.
Did you go to the lightning spider without us?
Yeah.
Sneak thief.
Puppy dog, hobbit eyes.
Well,
I wanted to make an impression, and it didn't seem like it was that dangerous. It's just a cathedral, and it's actually like an archive kind of.
it is not
It's
that
an
dangerous.
archive.
Yeah,
Really?
it didn't seem that dangerous.
Not,
Yes.
not dangerous.
Lightning capable of ending everyone you've ever met has just
1,000.
struck the tower.
Tessie walks
1,000.
up, grabs.
1,000. Not dangerous.
Tessie hops up, grabs your shoulders. It's an archive.
Yes, it's an archive. Please get down.
Bad. No.
Bad Jesse.
She does some kind of like rolling backflip off.
Yeah.
Well,
Basically.
that sounds
Crash.
like exactly the place
It's
that
an
you would need to
archive.
study. Congratulations. I guess I don't need to go now.
Do they have lots of books?
Mostly artifacts, not
Oh,
much.
even better, even better, even better.
You know, every once in a while I'm like, maybe this will get her down, and it doesn't.
Okay. Where is
Damn,
Ivan?
fucked. No books at all.
You want to bring Ivan into a museum? Oh, that'll end well.
Well, no, I want to find Ivan because we don't know where he is.
Where do they sell alcohol?
Is Dwarven City? I imagine they sell alcohol nearly everywhere.
Point to one of those places and you'll probably find an Ivan.
Okay.
That one?
You know what? It was. Shake hand. It was nice. Declare prey, Ivan.
Okay. You don't have a lot to go on.
No, I don't.
You're coming from
I
a
don't.
different direction.
Yeah.
He smells like a dwarf. That'll narrow it down.
Yeah, really well.
This is.
Don't worry, he's in one of the bars.
That'll narrow
That'll
it down.
down. Yeah.
Make a perception check. Adding your hunt prey. Not so much.
Gresh can only find one skull at a time, and Emily's
It's
looks
a
really nice
single-
right now.
It's a 1.
Oh, okay.
It's a natural 1, so.
Yeah. As you start to look around for Ivan, confident in your hunter's abilities,
Yes, a hunt.
you
a hunt
start,
in a city.
you scan around, and you spot a building that your instincts say, ah, he must be in there.
Well, let us go. I walk in there.
And you start walking in, and as you go to open the door, 4 dwarves drunkenly stumble out of it. And I need you to please make a reflex save.
Oh, look, we found Ivan. We just take one of them.
Well, that's a natural 20.
It's
Good buddy.
interchangeable.
you,
What?
you dodge aside just in time to not get absolutely trampled by these dwarves who do not notice that you are there.
Why would they?
They're very preoccupied.
They are. They're speaking in Dwarvish as they stumble past you.
Again.
And suddenly you're like, oh, maybe it's just full of dwarves and not so much with Ivan specifically.
This is fair.
It has many Ivans.
Well, what is
So
in
many
it? Is it a
items.
bar?
Oh, yeah.
Is it the bar? Well, fuck it. I'm going to have lunch.
Okay.
I have dealt with my business. I have found the Emmeline. The Emmeline has found what she is after.
I found the Emily.
This no longer concerns me.
So Gresh
I will
disappears
see
into
you
a
all.
bar.
Crash,
At the blue wall later. Bye.
you're not coming to the museum?
I don't need to.
Okay, bye.
It's like you are people being hunted by gods, not me. What could I possibly bring to the table?
But it's so cool.
enjoy.
Grace is like, I don't want to look at
Is
freaking walls.
Relics of lost
He very much wants to look at
civilization.
walls.
yes, like I can enjoy the architecture
Yeah.
in my room.
He's super into walls, it turns out.
Yeah, like no, yes, there is lots of fabulous dwarven architecture, and it is wonderful. But I would prefer not to go to the place that gets struck by lightning thrice a minute. If
Yeah,
all the
that's a
same to you.
drawback, but Emmeline got out okay.
Yeah, they're mostly. I didn't pry too much into the thunder, because I don't know if that's a sensitive topic. But there are some harnessing runes in there. I was hoping that Tessie could take a second look at them. It seems to be filtering down the energy into something.
Rune scratch.
Okay, so
have
we have
runes.
books, we have runes, we have magic. None of these things interest me.
Do you like jars? They got some jars.
Everybody could use a good jar.
I mean, everybody could use a good jar, but they're not going to be for sale. This is a museum. You do not buy from museum. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to look around for Ivan. And then I'm going to sit down and have... What does it smell like?
Mutton.
I'm going to eat some sheep. And then I will enjoy the architecture back at the Blue Wall. If you need me, I will be here. Or the Blue Wall, where I can enjoy architecture while drinking an ale.
Okay, bye.
Goodbye. I walk in.
Okay.
Do I see Ivan?
No.
Okay. I sit down.
And you
I
start to
order
have lunch.
myself a mutton. I give him 2 silver and tell him to bring me the good wine.
Yeah.
They bring you some food and some drink. And you
He's
eat.
like, I've had it. I've had it with you adventurers running around, walking out without me, lying to me, sneak thief, and getting excited about books.
You were just the oldest, grumpiest orc.
Well, like, what is
And
it?
we
It's fantastic.
We can all proceed to get off of your lawn.
It's great.
I was just like, what do you? It was just like, yes, this is wonderful. There is magic. There is books. This is. I am a hunter. I've been hunting the woods for 40 years. What does this have to do with me? Nothing.
Anyway, so
I think we angered Gresh.
as it would happen, though, Ivan was explicitly going on a bar crawl on the way to the cathedral. So, half an hour or so into your lunch, Ivan stumbles on the last bar of his bar crawl.
Last bar?
It's the one nearest the cathedral.
Yeah, okay. I'm
It was the
on
first. We were literally
Yeah.
right outside.
well, I'm just trying to figure out how many fortitude saves I'll need to make to see how
Make
drunk
one,
I am.
and we'll go from there.
It's actually pretty good for the first one. Fortitude is 34.
Okay. Nice. I need you to roll a d12 for me, please.
Me?
Yes.
Okay.
Emmeline gets a hangover from Ivan's drinking.
4.
4? Okay. Well, this is your 5th bar stop. First one is free. This one doesn't count yet, so please make for me 3 fortitude. Well, 2 more fortitudes, guys.
Alright. One is a 23.
Okay. One more.
And that one is a 35.
Okay. You are feeling it. You're not at your best, but you're not deeply impaired or anything.
I'm really feeling it.
Who sees who first?
Oh, you see him first for sure.
So
He's the drunk
you're sitting
one.
there.
I don't know if
and
you can see
you hear-
anything right now.
You hear a thunk as the door kind of opens and thunk, 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 thunk.
And you see Ivan
thunk,
walk in
thunk.
in a shiny, brand new set of armor.
Big
that you
suit
have
of
never
plate
seen
mail.
with this gaudy ass fucking tabard over it.
He was difficult to hide before. Now it will be impossible. Ivan, I have not seen you all day.
Grace!
I throw some.
I'm sorry, I switched to common. Grace, good to see you here. And
He's like, yes, come, eat. And then I fucking like be like, bread. Bring him lots of bread. I just like give them just some more corn. Just like, just keep it rolling.
They start to supply you with bread.
I have not seen you in this before. Is this new?
Is no the tink is very. I like it. It's a bit cumbersome moving. I'll think on what to do about that. But is I like.
It suits you. It is certainly gleaming.
I tell you, it is. I am very excited to find this. It is something I've heard about before, and see tabard is very nice. It tells story of a sort of what's a good word didn't come is a story of when you kill a worthy foe, good enemy. It records
glorious victory.
Yes. It records story on tabard. And then I can remember story and gain extra extra that against foe. So I say I killed elemental of fire. I can use to not get burned.
Ooh, that sounds useful.
It's going to be wonderful.
Hey.
We've been on fire a lot.
We
lately.
do run into a lot of fire, as actually. But so good, I have more cover now too. It's like go all up arm. I like
give it a good pang.
It's solidly made.
I am very happy
Do
with.
good work.
I need to think
do
of
good work.
of course. The dwarven maid is going to be, but
I have idea. I have idea. 1 second. I turned to barkeep. Barkeep, has anything been giving you trouble recently?
Like what?
Like fight, like creature.
In the middle of the city?
Anywhere in city.
There are rats. Do you want to kill rats?
No, I do not want to kill rats. Do you think this armor needs for rat? Well, how
don't
big?
know.
How big?
Not like rat-sized?
Okay, who we go to? Who we go to get fight?
I don't think you understand how this works.
I don't.
You are in a city. It has walls to keep the fighting
last
on
city
the
we didn't have
outside.
So we
fighting
have
pit.
to
It
go
was
out city to get fight.
Yeah, you could do that.
Well, who would know what good fight in area?
Let me.
You could ask the mountaineers.
That's an appropriate role for where I'm at in my head right now.
We could go
That
ask
is
Town
a
Guard.
20 on Dwarven gang lore to know where there might be some underbelly shit.
A 20 total?
Total.
Okay.
Got that player point.
Nah, this is about where my head's at.
Yeah.
New city, run by dragons, I'm kind of drunk. It's I'm cool with this.
Have some recollection of hearing about plans in the planning stage in your gang for expanding into Akas. Your understanding was that they were going to work their way up from the southern end.
I think
Essentially start at the south gate, somewhere in that area, and kind of start working their way forward.
I think we maybe find something down southern end of city. Question. I see you're alone. Do you know where Tessie, Emmeline are?
Again,
Okay.
they are not in danger. They will be
The-
safe. They
the-
do not need us right now.
Have you seen Big Lightning Building yet?
Again, we do not need to go there.
Why not? This big building is struck by lightning. Why would you not be interested?
It is full of book. So the people who like book, they are already there. We
This
go.
is- no, that's
we go
fair.
Fight. We go
That's
fight.
fair,
We
but
let them book.
no, that's fair.
And if they need you tomorrow,
I don't want the book, but it is big building struck by lightning. I mean, that's
This is not first. Is only first day. You go visit Spider tomorrow with them.
How many days do we have of stealth left?
I think we have like 5.
Martez,
5 or
Martez.
so?
I
Like a
believe
week?
4, if my math is
4?
correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we take this day. You
5 if you include the rest of
I
it.
go we go south. We go south first.
You will see-
Lightning later.
Yeah, you will see lightning tomorrow.
Ugh,
They will.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
But yes, let's go.
Okay.
Let us find fight.
I think we look southern side. I can ask ground.
Yeah. Again.
First though, what
But
is?
first? And I just
But-
fucking hand you bread.
Oh, thank you. This will go very well with next beer. Barkeep. The
I wasn't gonna stop him from drinking.
so
There's no way.
barkeep,
But
what would you recommend is you think the best ale in this tavern? I'm kind of going around sampling what people
here.
like around.
We have an ice brewed ale.
Ice brewed.
You don't speak
oh, that's true.
Dwarven.
That's true. And I'm just like,
Barkeep, zrosty gość, David Abasirmov. Mazimosto Zrovadarish. The ice brewed ale, you said. Interesting. Have you had something like that? Yes, I'll definitely try that. Get a mug of it for me and him. I'll cover.
It is the local, the specialty of this particular tavern, which the name of it's in Dwarven, but it has a cask like covered in snow at the top on the front.
makes sense.
Okay, so
And from what you have heard, you've heard of the process. It's not super common in Skyvuskill, but occasionally it'll show up where it's this process where in between stages of brewing, they rapidly cool the brew.
i.e., open a door.
Basically, yes. So it's said to create this kind of like crisp element in the flavor. Your experience is that your mileage may vary, but it's a gimmick.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And they
and when he
serve it.
brings it out, it's pretty good. Like, and it does have this kind of crisp, almost bite to it.
I imagine they would
And
serve
it
it
is
super
served
cold.
Yes, it is served much colder than most of the other ales are. Much of dwarven ale is served basically room temperature. This is served cold.
This,
He's okay.
I'm liking this. Is good.
We'll get job done.
It's definitely a lighter kind of ale than.
See,
than
this
some
is
of the
good.
others you've had.
You have something like this. It's kind of brace you, prepare you to go back outside.
Yes.
It's people think is usually I hear it when you in cold in like Acadia in northern areas, you drink something warm you up to get you warm to go out. But you do that inside. If you're going out and you go out all warm right into cold in Skyvuskill, you fall over. It's not good.
You must be a little cold in order to take
You
the
have
lot of cold.
to acclimate,
It's
and
like
this is good
tempering
for.
eggs.
Yeah.
You have to temper your dwarves.
Well, this is good. This
Yeah,
is
I
always
enjoy
very
it
good.
quite
The
much.
mutton was good. Thank you much, and I give him a couple more silver pieces as tip. And I'm just like, I'll say it would be like a gold worth of everything.
Mhm.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yes. I'm seeing if I noticed that he paid.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, like I've been here for about half an hour, and I had my mutton meal. It's like I'm assuming it was like mutton, potatoes,
Yes.
strong.
so we will leave you to finish your drinking and breading.
As I wander southward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Breading your tempered dwarves.
Yes. Tempered breaded dwarves.
Oh yeah. We need a recipe book.
I'm pretty sure I
do
saw that in a
Yeah.
fusion restaurant once.
Do they do a passive perception score in TUI?
Yeah.
Is it score plus 10 or?
Yeah. So it's just your
So
perception.
perception of 29 then for me to kind of keep an eye out to see if there's anyone I recognize. Any
Sure.
Or
For that,
anyone or
actually-
any like
Yeah.
things that I recognize from my gang.
For that one, actually roll a perception check because
Beer
you're
batters,
actively
tempered
trying
blooded
to.
dwarfs.
Yeah,
Passive perception is for when I'm like, let's see if he noticed something that he wasn't looking for.
Sure.
But you are trying to see if, like, because you know your gang's in the area. So you
Yeah.
are trying to see if you can find a gang member. So
So if you
that
see
would
like a
be
marking on a
roll.
wall that would indicate, hey,
Yeah, I'm-
knock
yeah.
on the door here, and we'll.
as we're kind of bar crawling south, I'm keeping an eye out for things.
Oh, yeah.
Start to crawl south. You were crawling up north.
No,
and now
he was going
oh.
west. He
Yeah,
came
he was
from
Going
the
crawling
east.
west,
He's
got most of the
crawling
way, and
sort of-
now I'm
Sort of like west and slightly south.
The bar crawl does not
Prob-
stop.
It's
Yeah.
no, of course not. It probably is expedited, only stopping at places that really catch my eye or something. But because I'm trying to get down there, you were convinced
we
me.
do wanna
But
fight. We gotta test the.
but I'm
armor.
not just walking straight there. I rolled a 10, so that works out.
Perfect.
29.
29. Okay, we'll get back.
We'll get
that.
back to it.
So, the other two, they're off doing like boys' night out, I guess.
I'm not,
Ivan and Gresh is a sitcom I would watch.
Yeah, really.
like
Buddy cop.
we're gonna have a good time. It might not be a good time, but it will
Chris
be.
is like, I'm 3 months from retirement. Play it by the book.
You're a loose cannon, Ivan.
turn in your symbol and sword.
Yes. Anyway. So, what are you two doing?
Scurrying toward the obelisk as fast as my hobbity legs will carry me. Mumbling,
not far.
Archive, 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 archive.
You climb up the stairs,
And when I get
Climbs
there,
up the building,
I
gets
start,
on top, struck by lightning.
catch
Yes.
my breath,
falls
calm down.
gets resurrected at the end.
I catch my breath, calm down, take a look at all this, at any signage and symbols on the outside.
Do you speak Dwarvish?
I do speak Dwarvish.
Okay.
I have since day one.
There is, I thought so, but I wasn't 100% sure. There is a carving that looks, with your archaeologist knowledge, looks newer than the building itself. It looks like it was added on later. That marks it as the Stormwarden Archive.
Pull out my journal for the purpose of taking notes. Stormwarden.
Scribble stuff down.
Sort
Get
of
another day.
quietly, reverently walk in, whispering prayers in Hobbit. Whispering prayers in Halfling.
To
That which walks in
okay,
silence.
sure. So you wander in.
Asking for secrets
Walk
to
into
be
the Dragon
uncovered.
Temple,
Oh.
pray to the Conclave.
Yeah, playing to the concrete, lightning. Oh damn it! That means the Scheidler probably won't.
You know,
be
asking-
able to.
Asking for hidden secrets to be uncovered and lost knowledge to
Sure.
be found.
Sounds good. Yeah. Apart from the dramatics, you walk in a door.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yes. I mean, the effect is you walk in
Yes.
a door, nothing happens,
No lightnings.
no lightning strikes. The temple does not appear to be sentiently resisting worshippers of that which walks in silence.
Okay, well that's one.
Beautiful.
That's one. So we know.
Marshall, that might be a different story.
The steeple just reaches down and just swats her away.
Bad Hobbit.
The fucking glass over, just like, okay, release this one outside of the temple.
Far enough away that it won't come back.
Go.
Just remember, they're as scared of you as you are of it.
Looks at Tessie. I don't think so. Books.
Show me your books. She looks around. It's like, it's so beautiful.
It is easily the largest stained glass window you've ever seen.
Oh, sketch. Furious sketching of the entire room.
If Quintana's around, Emily's just gonna give her like this wry look of just like, well, yeah.
She's just gonna start like walking up to displays and reading the plaques and scribbling down notes and making sketches and
It is fortunate that this place was built by and for dwarves, because the display cases are only somewhat too tall for you, as opposed to hopelessly too tall for you.
Does anyone have a step stool?
You can kind of like lean up a little bit and
Up on my
manage to see
tiptoes.
them. Yeah.
Making sketches, scribbling down notes. Or a chair? A chair
like-
would be nice.
Occasionally, you stop and put your journal like underneath you, get up onto it, look in the case, get it down, pick up the journal, start sketching again.
Yeah.
There's another situation when the many tool would have been really useful.
Make a stool.
Step stool.
So, yeah, she's just, reading plaques, making notes, making sketches.
Just need to get like a wand of enlarge person just for Tessie to look at things.
Yes.
Not even in large, just in tall.
Tall.
It's like in large, it's just a level low. It's like a
wand
first
of
level
stretch
spell.
person.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you go through the displays and start making notes and sketches. Quintana is not immediately apparent, though. Rodion is
Then he gets the withering glance.
still kind of like hanging out at the front, and he gives kind of a curious glance at the highly enthusiastic halfling.
She's gonna wave at him and call it, hello, in Dwarvish.
Hello.
It's so beautiful in here. Still speaking Dwarvish. Do you speak Common?
Yes.
Oh, good. Switches to Common. Oh, good. Hi.
Hi.
This is so beautiful.
I'm glad you like it.
What is this place?
It is the Stormwarden Archive.
Well,
Did you not see the sign?
I know that's what it is. I know that's what it's called. But what does that mean?
It is where we keep artifacts of the era before the extinction of the dragons. And where the archivist works.
That's so perfect. This is exactly what I needed. This is what I came here for. That and stuff. But
Stuff? Just in general, or?
irrelevant stuff. Stuff not relevant to this present conversation. Not anything, major, or yeah. Anyway, archivist.
It's got nothing
Yes.
to do with the end of the world or anything.
You said there's an archivist.
Oh, I am the archivist in training, and then there is the senior archivist, Quintana.
Are there books?
No.
Are there stories?
Yes. Are you going to breathe, or did I get some help? Because I don't know how, maybe halflings are like good
I
at
can
holding
make-
their breath.
I can make tea, and I'm really good at making cookies. And tea and cookies go great with stories. Will you tell me stories?
Oh, I was wondering whether the relationship was. I cannot tell you stories. The archivist has to.
Oh, you're not allowed yet. Got it.
Yeah, I'm still learning this.
Grandmother says I'm not allowed to tell most stories yet either. There are some stories I'm allowed to tell now,
Good. You.
but most, nearly all, a lot of stories.
That must
Seemed
be
to stop you in the
difficult for
past.
It is.
You have no idea how many stories she has.
It is.
The tiny percentage she has told. Well,
I mean,
I
even if you
think-
can't tell stories, you can still have tea and cookies.
yeah, and I
They're
can
good
tell
for
you like
listening
normal stories. It's not there are
Well, yes,
stories
normal
that
stories are
aren't,
good too.
Archive stories.
Oh yeah, I mean, I tell normal stories all the time. It's just the special stories. I can't really tell all but maybe like 3 of those.
I feel like
No, 2.
I feel like The archivist in training is like looking at Emmeline for help. Like what the fuck did you do?
Like, look, man, I don't know.
What the fuck did you do?
It's a test. You
He
point it in
actually-
one direction and it just kind of goes.
He actually seems a little enthused.
Except when Grandma lets me set up a routine based on one of the stories. Then she lets me tell the story.
Through interpretive dance.
Oh. Like a routine of what?
Acrobatics.
I had not thought of that. That might be a very good mnemonic device.
Yeah.
I will have to propose it to the archivist.
Oh, I can show you some tricks.
This one is called the heat death of the universe.
But, so I came here.
She just falls.
One of the non-stop
And then
reasons
stays there for 2 hours.
why I came here was to find out stories from before the war and see
That is
how
what we do.
the stories from before the war add up with the stories that I've been told about the war. Tessie looks around, as if to watch for, walls having ears.
Because
I think we've been lied to.
Head poking through the ceiling like ceiling cat.
Because I think someone's been lying to us. I think a lot of people have been lying about a lot of things and have been lied to about a lot of things and have spread those lies as if they were true. And I need to know.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. That is good.
I'll get tea and cookies.
We don't have like an oven? I don't know. Do you have
Oh.
one?
I'm staying at an inn right now. I might be able to borrow their oven, or is there a place where I could just buy cookies?
Yeah.
Okay, I can buy cookies. Still make tea.
Low on priorities, but you do you.
There is procedure. Follow. If there are stories, there has to be tea and cookies.
I mean, it's better to have them homemade, but if you don't have an oven for homemade cookies, store bought is fine. So
You know what? I'll go get those. You guys do.
Whatever the fuck it is.
Begin the preparation.
peppermint tea, mint helps the mind.
Okay. Got it. She's gonna accidentally get spearmint.
So.
It's like, if I put Tessie at that, something will shake from that tree. Something will shake down over there.
If only by volume.
Yes.
Shake it enough, something will
And she's
fall.
not as likely to create an international incident there.
This
I said not as likely. I did not say.
Sure.
This has generally been the Emmeline approach. I'm just like, all right, I'll figure something out. If it doesn't work, I'll throw somebody else at it, and we'll see if it works then.
Me and Ivan are last on the list. We
So
are like, okay.
They'll throw you throw them at something, and then they throw other things.
I was gonna start by going around to each of the displays and asking, so what can you tell me about this? What can you tell me about this? Just like basically what Emmeline was doing
Yeah.
earlier.
Just bouncier.
And so that Tessie can now know what Sherry knows.
Yes. Essentially, you get more or less the same answers as Emmeline did.
Comes back with like the first cookie store she found. She got
Yeah.
cookies from, and if they had tea, she got it there as well. It's like, you know what, this works. You know what, fine.
Dwarven tea is
Walk
weird,
in with a Starbucks cup.
but it's not bad. It's just weird. They
Frappapace.
did not have mint tea of any kind. They had strictly these weird herbal teas.
Is it like root tea or something
Yeah,
like that?
it's a lot of like roots.
Licorice or
Yeah, there's definitely a strong licorice presence.
Do you know what? It's not pine nuts. I'll take it.
There is no pine to be found in it, so that's a
You
plus.
did not like the pine tea?
We had been there for like 6 months.
Oh,
No,
you
actually-
were just tired of the pine
She
tea.
drank her
Everything
weight in
is
pine
pine.
needles.
Everything.
She drank her weight in pine needles.
I just needed a break.
Pine is very good for you.
It is. It's high in vitamin C.
It is.
is vitamin C vitamin cone?
Oh God. So yeah, here you go.
Oh, this is interesting tea. I don't think I've had tea like this before. It'll be a new experience.
It's what they had.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying it's a new thing.
Eventually, Quintana appears, kind of stepping out of a wall. Like, one of the walls.
She was hiding. She was just like
She just
she
stone melded.
heard
Yes.
and was like, oh,
No.
No,
Little
essentially,
known fact, Quintana
where-
has a burrow speed.
where at the spot where one of the sort of colonnades on the side meets the edge, essentially a door opens up, but like the it was you, like the one you saw in the tavern. It's weirdly well camouflaged into the stonework,
That's a really neat trick.
but she doesn't seem to
those.
try to hide herself walking out of it.
Yeah,
She
like,
just
it's
kind of
like,
pushes it open as though
this
it
is
were
a
a perfectly
door.
normal
That
thing.
is
Like-
so cool.
like, what are you so excited about? It's a fucking door.
Yeah.
Not you, just
yeah.
And
Yeah.
you can see that past it is some kind of staircase
May
downward.
be a reason why dwarves can get perception bonuses to noticing unusual stonework.
Hmm.
We really like it.
To dwarves, unusual stonework is not unusual.
Is usual stonework.
Yes. It's unusual for the other idiots to figure out how to put it in. Like,
Now's the part where
they're
I
like a group of adventurers come into the bar and they're like, oh, thank God, they're all humans. They're not going to be able to break into our storehouse and drink us dry.
and she looks over at you first, and you get an actual, like, decided expression out of her. She seems surprised that you came back so quickly.
Yeah, kind of like shoots like an explanatory look over at Tessie, who's thoroughly in.
We have tea and cookies now, and I've gone through and looked at all the pretty displays. This is one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen in my life, and I traveled a lot. But Rodian says you have stories.
Yes, that is
And-
most of what I have.
Stories are always better with tea and cookies.
Very well.
They're coming for you, Tess.
What would you like to know?
I don't even know what I need to know. I don't even know where to start. So she's gonna hand over her notebook and just like point out the highlights of some of the stuff that she's already done in her studies, like sort of what
You're
she's
gonna have to be way more specific
Well,
than that.
what she's been trying to so not any of the Brad Woman stuff, but when she was studying in the monastery.
Okay.
She's going to point out the pages in her notebook of when she was studying in the monastery, trying to sort of do the piecing together
Okay.
of the war history.
Got it.
Emily's gonna
You
like
work on the
surreptitiously like stand over her shoulder, and like when a picture that
And
shows
then
up that
learn.
needs to not be shown, she's just gonna like like just real quickly, subtly just like flip the page over. It's
Yeah,
like,
no.
nope, not
At
that
no
one.
point does she hand over her notebook,
Nope, not that
but
one.
she's showing like, and there are some points where she will flip the pages toward herself and then
Sure.
then show it, but she's pointing out what she's already done in sort of trying to piece together the true story of the war based on
Yeah.
what she had heard and what she could find from
Sure.
the other point of view.
And as you can tell, Emily, she does a pretty good job of not showing off anything that would be like weirdly incriminating. Can't tell for sure. It's in halfling. So, but I'm
Oh, yeah, I
assuming
don't
your
speak
journal's
that.
in
Yeah.
halfling.
Oh yeah, it is absolutely in halfling.
Well, mostly the sketches are,
Yes,
are pretty
as
big.
near as you can tell, any
They're in
sketches that would
halfling,
be
too.
incriminating. Yes, halflings draw everything in this weird amorphous impressionism.
They're all
Like,
stick figures.
Someone looks at your notes and they go, ah, I see.
Halfling drawing to just all Rorschach tests.
Yeah.
anyway,
Sorry.
no, you're fine. But yeah, she skips past the incriminating sketches and where you think any incriminating text might be.
Can't quite tell.
Hard to say. And
I'm gonna trust you, Tessie.
Because Tessie will translate if she doesn't.
it's a great question.
Tessie-
She does not.
You know what? Tessie will just translate
Sure.
the parts that are salient.
Okay. So you go through and kind of outline what you had been looking at and what you had been thinking. Give me the 10-word summary of basically like what you tell her and what you're working, like what Tessie's working thoughts are.
I'm not sure if I know enough to put that together as a player, honestly. Because I didn't get very much details about what Tessie found out.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Well,
I knew she was looking, but I have not yet gotten details about what she found out while she was looking.
we found out. I can. A little bit of what I remember is we found out that from the monastery that I can't remember the name of off the top of my head. Toktamir, thank you. From Toktamir, we found out that it seemed like the Dragon War was retaliatory on the dragon's side. And then just from basic, I think that was like the biggest takeaway that we got, other than learning Marta's name.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That was kind of why I did it this way, because I couldn't figure out what... I knew my character would know things, but I, as a player, couldn't figure out what she would know.
Sure.
So that's why I kind of did the whole, she's going to show her notes about this. And what does she know about this? What's in those notes?
Right.
So, like, how much of the timeline have we pieced together then? Is the question. Like, what's our general overview? We know that there was a time before the war.
Yes.
We know that the war happened, and there's conflicting stories about why.
Yes.
And then we know that.
Do we know?
And I don't know if you share this part, but we know that the voice in the silence. I'm sorry, the voice in the darkness. At some point,
in the shadows.
the voice in the shadows became that which walks in silence. Sometime after the war.
She does not share that specifically, but she shares reason to believe that there may have been changes among the conclave.
Okay.
Do we know if the conclave was around long before the conflict?
Official doctrine is the conclave created the planet you're standing on.
Okay.
Oh, that's probably horseshit.
And that they did it about 2,400 years ago.
That's definitely horseshit.
And that's some 400-ish years after that, the dragons that they created to help them create the planet rebelled against them.
Didn't we have like, we had not hard numbers, but like numbers that suggested that Marta was around like several thousand years ago? Like before the theoretical
There
creation
were no hard
of the
numbers,
planet?
you are correct.
Yeah, I know there weren't hard
The
numbers.
estimations of the ruins of her temple were that parts of it certainly seemed like they were too old to fit in that timeline.
Okay. That's what... yeah, because like I know you didn't outright say it, but I know that there was a suggestion that that could be possible.
Yeah. Now, the reality is, it would be hard for a person in this world to make that determination.
Yeah, we don't have like carbon dating.
Right. and more importantly, you don't have a lot of reference.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if the doctrine says everything is at most 2,400 years old, it's not like you can be like, yes, but if you compare against this 2,600-year-old artifact, this looks like it's 2,600 years old.
Right. Because we could just be like, oh, that
Yeah.
looks really old.
Yeah.
That also looks really old.
That's old as shit.
Yeah.
That one's old, but not as shit.
But it's one of those things that you're like, wow, this stuff looks really old. It's weird because the things that are said to be less than 2,400, around 2,400 years old, don't look as deteriorated as this.
Right. Gotcha. But who knows if that's because weather conditions or other things.
Although it's in a cave, so not like super likely to have weather conditions. But there were giant spiders.
Yeah,
Maybe
there
they
were
like to scratch stone.
Sure. Could be. And it's not like we asked Marta, hey, how old are you?
That's true. You did not ask him how old
Really
she is.
rude question to ask.
It is.
It's a really rude question to ask in general.
So she will not
Especially a rude question to ask a god.
Yes.
she will not tell
I feel like that's just bragging at
about
that point, though.
encounters with Mardo or the Ashen Man or the Bramble Man.
Right.
She will not tell about the specifics about the voice in the shadows and that which walks in silence, and she usually keeps her pendant under her clothes.
Okay.
But what she will say is she will indicate that something in her research led her to believe there may have been changes to some of the members of the Conclave.
Okay.
Sort of hinting at voice in the shadows becoming that which walks in silence without giving details. She'll say she had discovered that the dragon war may have been retaliatory, but couldn't find what the retaliation was against. And then I don't know, but why I was handing over the notes is because I did not. First of all, I, as a player, didn't remember that. I should have checked my own notes, but I also didn't know because there was time that she had spent in the library that we didn't flesh out because we were doing
Right.
other things. I didn't know if she discovered anything else in the library or not.
Yeah, not a huge amount of like
Okay.
revelatory details. There were little things like stories that were told differently from the other side and stuff like that. But the thrust of like huge contradictions were why the war and essentially how the war started.
Right.
She will say that she without revealing specifics about the Ashen Man and the Bramble Man, that she has gotten the impression there may be more than just the Conclave.
Other deific sources.
Okay. So, after you get through all of that, Quintana ponders it, and you watch her sort of peer into the middle distance for a few moments, as though deep in thought. And then
Get reevaluated from curious tourist to
Oh shit.
and then turns back toward you.
And as she's saying this, she'll be like pouring tea and
Yes.
handing out plates of cookies.
Yes, and Quintana, drinks a little tea while staring through her mind palace.
Just setting up the Hobbit tea party.
You say, I think something about what I've been taught might be wrong. And the dragon priests reply, you fucking think?
Just like, you mean 2,400 years of propaganda? Yes, you might have some numbers wrong.
Two
But,
and
you
a
know-
half centuries of
But here's the specific stuff I've
divine
learned about what.
implemented misinformation campaigns. Weird. But yes, so she ponders it for a few moments and then says, our oldest stories are...
Oh shoot! I'm sorry.
Oh, it was one of the initiative trackers. Our oldest stories are diminished somewhat. But it is said by the archivists that before the war, the dragon gods coexisted with the conclave. And that for some reason that remains unclear to us, or is lost to us, that coexistence became untenable. It is also said that at some point there was another group of gods. But we have very little information about them.
That we're neither dragon nor conclave.
Yes. And that they were first to be in conflict with the Conclave. We do not have records of them, as there were no archivists at the time. And the only one of them who have any written records surviving is someone called the Weaver.
I see.
And she'll
Underline that one 3 times.
she will give you some vague details about Marta. Like, she'll be like, oh,
Yeah.
it is said that she lived in the south, in near the middle of Scortile, and that she
We've heard
defended
her
her
referenced
land.
as such before, haven't we?
Yes.
Yes,
in her-
specifically by the Bramble Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said that Emmeline smelled of the Weaver.
Oh yeah, Marta, we know her. She's great.
Walked up to a lady. You smell like spiders.
I mean, the Bramble Man isn't not a small child.
I see. She'll stop for a moment. It's sort of torn in a decision.
But naturally, all other written records of those gods and the dragon gods are no longer viable. As is all record of the Conclave before their supposed initiation.
Where would I go to find information?
It is impossible to say. The magic they wove removed all reference to the other deities, with the exception of the Weaver, and we do not know why.
Huh.
It is that is the function of the archivists.
Nope.
It is impossible to keep a written record of other gods.
Wait a minute, hold up. It's impossible to keep a written record of the other gods.
That's what you said.
Then what the fuck is in Tessie's notebook?
Great question.
Lies and slander.
It's a funny story that you said specifically you weren't showing her any of the stuff about the other gods.
Okay.
Because that might have blown her fucking mind.
Hold on a minute. So this is actually Tessie's going to pause her pencil in another moment of confusion and decision, and then she is going to do two things and be glad that Ivan is not here.
You're welcome.
Yes.
My plan, it worked.
Crush saves the day.
It was just kind of like, this is half. Gresh is
Ivan
like,
is like, lightning! Gresh is like, but Ivan, fight!
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 So
The
is it
lightning will still be there later. Fight my dad.
It's impossible to keep written records of the other gods.
Yes.
What do you know about the other gods?
I have told you that there was some number of gods before. It is known that there is more than just the Weaver, but the Weaver is the only one we know anything about.
Would you know one if you saw a picture of one?
No, we have no information about them.
Alarmed face.
So if it's impossible to keep a written record of the other gods, then how do I have this? So she'll leaf back to her information about the Bramble Man and the Ashen Man
tackle her.
and the Weaver.
I mean, it's already been said. It's like,
she'll look at it and be slightly perplexed, and then kind of tilt her head. And someone is lying to you?
I thought so. Thank you. She'll slam her journal shut and slam it on the ground.
knife goes back.
It is not impossible to write down that someone claims they are a god. It is merely impossible to write down that any information about one of the deities the conclave drove to extinction.
It's impossible to write down. So they're gone, they're dead?
We do not know. We know that this other group disappeared, and then during the war, the dragon gods were killed.
And the Weaver's the only one you can write about.
The Weaver, yes. The Weaver is the only one about whom written records remain.
Okay.
We do not... I could not write about any of the other ones if I wanted to. We don't know anything to write down.
Why are you able to keep records of your dragon gods still?
We don't. We keep an oral history.
That's why there
It's
aren't
the
any
purpose of
books,
the
Emmeline.
archivists.
Because there can't be books. There can only be archivists and things. And the
And
things that were...
so
And the
there
words
is
written
always
in
an
the
archivist.
things.
And a trainee archivist. And in times past, there was a second trainee, in case one of them were killed. But
There's always a storyteller.
times have become... There's less interest in preserving the histories.
Okay. Puts her hand up to her neck.
Uh-huh.
Draws out the chain.
Of the Whispers of the Dreamer.
Yes.
Tessie.
What do you know about this?
Your soul must emerge to the strange ASMR woman. It appears to be a symbol of that which walks in silence by its design.
But it's not.
It does have some differences. Looks old.
It never was a symbol of that which walks in silence. At least not that which walks in silence that I grew up with.
It is not unknown for worship practices to evolve over time.
I don't think it evolved, though.
I don't understand.
That which walks in silence is not that which walks in silence. That which walks in silence was the voice in the shadows. And I want to know why she became it. I got this from a priestess, well, what remained of a priestess of the voice in the shadows.
I do not know why that might be. It is said that the Walker intervened after the Dragon War. It is the doctrine of the Conclave that some of the gods wished to wipe out the scions of those who allied with the dragons, and the Walker intervened. I don't know if that caused a change of doctrine, perhaps?
What could she do to intervene, though? How could she change an entire...
It's
Unless...
said that that it or she,
I don't even know anymore. I'm sorry.
it is said that it, or they, this is confusing.
Try living
It
in
is
my
said that the
shoes.
walker prevented or
Stood between.
stood between, yes, that discouraged the other deities from wiping out half-orcs and Aasimar and tieflings.
Yeah, we celebrate that in the Day of Masks.
I know.
Day of Eyes.
Day of Eyes.
I know. That's one of my favorite parts of the Day of Eyes. The part of the play where the walker goes and asks for mercy. But what did she give up?
There is no reference I'm aware of to the walker losing anything in the process.
But
Things
who
are
wrote the
always-
history? The winners wrote the history, and the winners wouldn't have wrote it down if the only way she could convince them to stop would be to lose her voice. What does she know? What secrets does she know
suppose-
that they don't want revealed?
I suppose that is possible. I don't know. There were no archivists at the time.
I know.
Everything was kept as written record.
I know. My family are devoted to the master of secrets.
For reference, the necklace is going nuts. Like there's nothing discernible, but there is like cacophonies of distant whisper
My family
like during this entire
has
process.
been devoted to the master of secrets since long before I was born.
What?
And none of this is known to us.
So, what would be an equivalent exchange? Everything with the deities is equivalent exchange. What is worth the voice?
What do you mean?
It's a teaching from nursery tales. In
What's worth the voice? What's worth the voice is lives.
No,
Their
there's something
lives
else
for
there.
her secrets. But what did she know that an entire set of gods didn't want to be said? And what would happen if someone said them? And now Tessie's noticing the necklace. Would that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, now Tessie will start noticing the necklace.
Can I get your stuff? What the fuck did you just say? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Can I gain a read off of the two people that we're talking to? Because Tessie's kind of like downward spiraling, so I'm just like, all right, how much is how much trouble are we likely to be in?
What did you do?
They're secretly spies for the Conclave.
Well, mostly it's just like,
Already.
are they going to be telling other people, or are they just going to keep
I'm
their
sorry.
stories?
What did you say to me just then?
Sorry.
No,
Sorry.
you're fine.
I would like to kind of get a general read off of the archivist and
Sure. Okay.
the other one of just like, are they likely to be calling people on us? Or
Give me
are they
2
just-
perception checks.
Cool. First one, 27.
Mm-hmm.
Second one, higher, 31.
Rodion definitely doesn't seem interested in turning you into someone. He is listening. He's like standing just back from this little group, just barely on the edge of politeness. And he is listening hard. Like, listening is an active process for him right now.
Yeah.
You have never seen someone quite so listening as a verb before.
Action, listen.
Yes.
Hearing.
Yes.
Full round action.
Yes.
Listen.
He is taking the seek action every round. Quintana is a tougher nut to crack. Again, she has that sort of similar impenetrability to Pasha, though it doesn't seem as, she seems to have human expression, or humanoid expression in any case.
Yeah.
Mortal expression. But there is that little bit of distance to her that makes her difficult to read. But as near as you can tell, she is troubled by these ideas, but not offended by them or...
She's not likely to call guards on us
No.
and send us to blaspheming jail.
No. Well, nothing you've said is blaspheming her religion. What the fuck
Yeah.
does she care? Although, interestingly, her accent is super not Scortillian.
Which we said that earlier, right?
I don't know if I ever mentioned it specifically,
I
but
don't think you
her accent is definitely not from Scortal.
No, you just mentioned that she had the same affectations as
Yes.
Pasha.
Yeah.
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 Okay. I had taken that to include accent as well.
Yes.
Which-
Yeah. Well, her
my
accent
mistake.
is different than Pasha's.
Yeah.
But yeah, but her affectation, like she has that sort of slightly distant alien divine thing going.
Okay.
But presuming she is from Aileron somewhere, Scortile is not that somewhere. Right. Where was I?
I want to.
So, yes, you as near as you can tell, nobody's about to go calling guards or informing conclave members.
Yeah. And largely, people don't seem to care too much about religion anymore here, so
It is certainly in decline.
I am less concerned about the fact that we're spitting truths of the universe.
Yeah. This is a lot to think about.
This is why stories are better with tea.
I can see your point. If this is the case, it does reframe a number of possibilities. But I don't know that it changes most of the archive's stories. But it creates new ones to add. If this voice in the shadows was distinct or a previous form, then it would seem the same magic applies and it is impossible to write about her.
Her.
Then it is impossible to keep written record of her.
We'll
Which
test
you know not to be the case because you specifically read about her in that temple.
But
I was
no,
like, man, I
no,
better
I
double
read a
check
book
this in a
about her.
notebook, but
Yeah.
not in front of these
I
people.
read a book about her.
Perhaps it is different rules then? Perhaps it is impossible to make new record, but records could survive? That does
Tell
not make
me.
sense, though.
A story of the dragon gods. Anything. Something trivial, something small, but something you cannot write down. Tell me a story.
Very well. In the time before the Dragon Wars,
Jesse's trying to write down what she says. Trying to
She
visually
looks
transcribe what
alarmed.
she says.
Like, she's never seen someone try and write down one
You
of the
might wanna
stories it's
back up.
impossible to write. Oh, God. She does.
So Jesse's gonna try to basically transcribe
Yeah.
exactly what she's saying in halfling.
In the time before
Okay,
the...
the conclave doesn't read halfling. It'll be fine.
It's fine.
You know what? No, honestly, no. That's not even it. That's not
None
even
of
it.
the
It's
conclave
because
are halfling.
it's
They're
because
just
Tessie's
humans
whole-
and elves.
it's because Tessie's whole journal is in halfling, and she doesn't
Yes.
want it to
I
seem
know,
different.
I know.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah,
it's a
but-
joke.
In the time before the Dragon War. It's way more serious than this laughter.
I know.
Whew. Okay. In the time before the Dragon War, it is said Akor summoned this storm over his capital, his homeland, and used it to perpetuate enchantments. He was a creator. He built things. He built the walls that protect the city. And he created a number of objects using this power. They're lost, of course, but it is said that he took great pride in his craftsmanship. But much like the other dragon gods, they were distracted by their own devices. They were interested in what their personal projects were, their own interests, and did not see that the conclave was becoming impossible to coexist with, that their rule was becoming more hostile to other powers, until it was too late, and then they organized to confront them, and that is how the war started. And you write all this down just fine.
And did not notice that the conclave was becoming.
You're writing a novel over there.
Just got the notes. No, I these I have meta notes.
Until
I have meta notes.
it
I have things that
was too
I
late.
think, and I'm keeping them.
I mostly
that
have
he
the
joined
rules for alcohol poisoning pulled up. That's
The map.
the
Written record
other
has been
my
kept in the
primary
group of them.
concern at the moment.
dragon
Of the twins? Yeah.
gods
Tessie's written a bunch about it.
to
They
confront them.
can't be written about. Is false.
Oh, yes. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah,
Okay.
I misunderstood the phrasing then.
No.
I don't speak halfling.
Takes a minute to transcribe it all into common.
This is...
Fucking write your books.
I haven't been, well, struck by lightning is a poor joke for here. But look.
Because you have. But that's...
Well, yes. But look. Look. He wasn't lying.
May I see that? Takes the journal and stares at it for a few moments, and then begins casting a spell.
Comprehend language.
Detect magic.
occultism.
Sure, roll occultism.
To identify a spell
Yeah.
as it's being cast.
yeah.
Real damn good.
I'm not here.
27 or 37.
Okay, that is enough. She isn't casting it as an occult spell, so it becomes more difficult. But your pin down on it is good enough. She's casting detect magic.
She's not
She
trying
is-
to read the whole book or anything
No,
like that.
no.
She's
She
just
is
detecting
simply attempting to discern. I'm sorry, no. She's casting read aura. I keep forgetting that detect magic doesn't do that anymore. She is attempting to see if this thing is
Changes
magic,
between
and
second
if so,
edition
how.
and first
I was
edition.
Yeah.
going to say, yes, the Ivan conundrum.
And then becomes further alarmed when it's a book.
Yeah.
Which is just a
It's
normalized
not
book.
magic. Or if it is, please tell me, because I don't know it is. It's
This
just
is-
my dream journal.
Fundamentally impossible.
Then someone's been lying.
Hold this, please. She pulls out a notebook and begins to write something in it. She gets maybe 10 words in before she looks like she is going to collapse.
Like it physically pains her to do it?
No, like
Or
her
it's like a
entire
mind
entire
break.
reality is
Has
being
just been
shattered.
shattered.
Oh, so
Gotcha. Mind
it's
break.
not like
Yeah.
she physically can't do it and she's having a physical reaction.
No.
It's the extreme mind fuck. So
Yes.
she's starting to look like
Yes.
Tessie has been.
But more so.
Yeah, because Tessie's had time to process this shit.
Yes.
This is just all of it bubbling to the surface. Someone has been lying.
Yeah, Dave.
Literally my job.
Who told the archivists they couldn't write it down?
No, they weren't told. They were the records were wiped. There was books with empty spaces.
There are spells for that.
Not on a global scale.
There are if you're a god.
Yes, the spells that did that are what kept us from creating new records.
But-
it is not that we did not
Did
test
anyone?
it.
What did they do?
Attempted to write about the gods, and all writings about them would vanish.
Something's broken through. He was right. Something's broken.
Oh,
Something's broken.
do I want to say this in front of them? I don't know. I
great
don't think I want to say this in front of them.
Something's breaking.
Tessie.
I don't know what this means.
Forgive me.
I'm
going
not sure
to,
either, but there's
lean
something.
and whisper something in Tessie's ear, which is
Something in the way the world was is becoming a wasn't. Or something in the way the world is becoming a was.
I think I follow what you are saying. Maybe?
Aren't the what unraveling?
the rules.
Oh. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, my handwriting sucks. I'm just gonna get a text app.
This will require research.
So
We will
I
need to find old records and see if they've been restored somehow. Most
I hadn't
of
even thought
them
of
were
that.
discarded. They were blank.
wait,
Perhaps
did you
something remains.
did you say they were discarded?
Yes, they were blank parchment and
It's
empty
unfortunate
books.
but understandable.
Some of them may have been reused.
On display? Did you keep anything?
We do
the
not.
archive?
There was no relevant books to be kept here. If a book was wiped and reused, perhaps newer text could be removed and old text seen. This is speculation.
so-
it is wildly unfounded.
Is this the only place where the archivists were?
No, there used to be more in other places, but... Or I am told. By the time I became an archivist, we were the only ones left.
Society, what are the greatest learning areas on the continent?
Offland.
Offland?
Yeah. Offland is the largest center of learning for sure. Cadia's academy is not bad, and their archives are quite good. Interestingly, they also have an archivist, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But they're kind of off the table at the moment.
Yes, but I'm just saying, like, it is true that they're both called the archivist. The difference is this one is translating from Dwarvish. It just so happens that the nearest word is archivist.
Yeah.
But no, I'm sorry. No, the Cadians have the curator, the high curator.
Right.
Is this the only place an archive could be found?
I believe all remaining artifacts were moved here. I do not know if there's some collections elsewhere.
But if there had been artifacts that were deemed useless and reused, where would they have originated other than here?
I don't know. It would depend on where they were. There could, in theory, someone could have written about the previous state of things at any point on the planet, because it was writing about the state of things.
True.
So libraries.
Libraries. Ledgers are a likely reuse, I suppose, because they would not care about the state of the pages as much.
City records.
Possibly. I do not know. This is very difficult to fathom. I will need time to process some of this and make further tests.
Since we've already shattered your worldview and rendered everything, asunder,
That's why
what's the
stories
lightning
are better
for?
with tea.
Oh, it powers wards.
What kind of wards need that kind of power?
It's a core created wards during the war and channeled the power into them. It was part of the walls. In the end, it did not save him, but it saved the city. It is why this is the last stronghold of the dwarves who allied with the dragons.
Wow. Impressive.
And it is impossible to say if the wards are still functional. But we don't know how to stop this if we wanted to.
This is going to be invasive, and I know it is. Are these the only artifacts you have?
Yes.
Is there anything else you have that we could see? Or, well, I know there's nothing we could read.
My purpose is the stories. The artifacts are interesting, they're for display.
Right. We'll be needing a lot of tea, if you have time.
I am deeply tired.
Not right now, obviously. We're all...
Yes, I think it would be wise if we discussed it further.
Do you have a spare me-sized drawer with a pillow and a blanket?
I don't live here, if that's what you mean.
Oh. Sorry.
But if you want to set up a bed in the basement, perhaps.
No, that's okay. I'll go back to the inn. You have a basement?
Like access to the basement.
Yes.
Neat.
They almost left you unaccompanied.
Can we see the
here at
basement?
night.
If you wish, it is mostly storage of supplies and the like.
Neat. Yes, I'd like to see the basement.
There are a few minor artifacts down there that we rotate through display sometimes. And most of importance are permanently in display, but for space purposes, we move some of them down there.
I'd like to go see. How long has the basement been here?
As far as I know, since the building was constructed.
How long has the building been here?
Since the war, well before it, honestly. It was
Neat.
a temple to a core.
Oh, yes. I definitely need to see the basement.
Yes, well, perhaps another time.
Would it be a terrible imposition if I sleep in your basement? I'll understand if you say you don't want me alone in your building. Because you don't know me.
Not a terrible imposition. I should say, I have no problems with you sleeping alone. There are anti-theft spells in place.
Okay. I wasn't going to steal
So
anything.
if you try to walk out the building with the relic, you get 8d6 lightning damage.
Who can say what might happen?
86
let's
is probably
see.
low.
There are anti-theft
Some
spells
fun
in a building that
spells
has
you can do.
wards powered by lightning.
Yes. Just
It's gonna
gonna
be
say,
some fun times.
the building is lightning bolted once every few rounds, and it's channeling that energy somehow. So
Do you wanna find that disintegrate spell?
She reaches her hand far into her bag of holding. I think I have my bedroll in here. Yep. It's here.
So if you would like to, I have no problem with that. I don't know how much utility it has as opposed to sleeping in a bed.
It's for the atmosphere.
Oh, well, if you like.
I will likely attempt to try and find Ivan and Gresh and let them know.
Good fucking luck, suckers! We're going to a
Meanwhile,
fighting pit.
across the city,
Fight, 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 fight,
Boy,
fight, fight.
I sure hope nothing. We didn't learn anything that unravels the fucking existence of the
Yeah.
world.
What it's really for is for the thievery checks for trap finding and finding secret doors.
Yeah, let's do it.
Not that she plans to actually steal shit. She plans to unearth any
Unearth
secrets.
forgotten secrets,
Yes, and
yes.
unearth any secrets that can be unearthed. Because if the building has been there since before the dragons, since before the war, and the basement has been there since before the war, there might be secrets in that basement. Or
Yay.
there might just be mice.
anyway,
Mice secrets.
mice have secrets
Seems-
too,
The
like
secret
where their
mice.
holes are. There's also words against mice.
Just occasionally you zap
Lightning
squeak.
mice.
Zap squeak.
Though I also take 8d6 lightning damage.
You go into the basement, you have to fight off the crackle rats.
Oh no.
Oh god.
They're not even like all that big for rats.
No, they're just normal sized
regular
rats.
rat
They
size.
just do lightning bolts at you. Anyway,
Well,
on the other side of the city,
the other side of this
moving toward the south end of the city, Gresh,
at an alarmingly
Ivan.
drunken pace.
now significantly more drunk in both cases than when he
I do have the rules for alcohol
Intoxication.
and pulled up.
Okay, so that's almost a 40. That's a
How often does the official rules say
25?
you make fortitude saves?
So, it's a DC 12, it says with an onset of 10 minutes, and it's, I would assume, every time you take a strong enough drink.
Okay,
With 7 stages.
fun.
Stage 7 is death.
Yep.
oh, fair. At least
And the
there's-
stages do not increase unless you take a drink, is one thing that's
so how many drinks have we had? How many bars have we hit between here and there?
Just make a couple more.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not
Probably
really
like 2 or
interested in
3.
you guys making, even if you
Okay.
had 10 drinks, I don't
I will-
really care about that.
Okay.
I will literally
I rolled a
have-
natural 1, so I go up to at least stage 2. I've succeeded every other fortitude save I've rolled.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say, it is physically impossible for me to fail this unless I hit a 1.
I am flat-footed and have a +1 item bonus to saving throws against fear.
Okay, I am stage 1 because I made 1 fail.
Okay.
You
So-
are just have a +1 item bonus
Right.
against staging
Now,
throws against fear.
There is a distinction between reaching the mechanical effects there and being drunk.
Yes.
You can be,
be.
fairly along there before you start getting item bonuses to bravery.
Oh, that's fine. I'm a fighter, so I already have item bonuses to bravery.
Well, no,
not
the
item
stacks because you have
bonuses.
a
Oh,
you
yeah,
have
yeah,
a
yeah.
status or a circumstance bonus probably.
Yes.
Maybe a status bonus. I don't know.
I don't know.
But anyway, you have a
But yeah.
different kind of bonus. So the stacks
Okay.
with that. So you are in fact braver than usual.
Some liquid courage.
Yes.
Let's go fight.
I think we find good fight. We find it's so. It was.
No. Getting ready for the rumble.
I am looking. I see When I was back in Skrivuskiel, people I ran with looking to expand maybe up towards this area a bit. I see if anything came of that, and they had very good fighting pit. I know I was championing them for a time.
Right about then, a voice calls. Have you guys left? You guys are back on the street heading southward.
Yeah.
A voice calls from kind of just behind you, as though someone had walked past, double taked, and then called after you. Ivan? Ivan, you son of a bitch, come here! You turn around and you see a male dwarf. He is slightly shorter than you, but nearly as stocky. He has a pair of long scars along the side of his face. They are not parallel. They were very gotten at different times and do nothing for his looks.
So they're real scars rather than cool scars.
Yes, they are not anime scars. They are actual, I got hit in the face with blades scars.
Big, naughty, and gross.
Yes. But fortunately for him, neither of them blinded the eyes. So.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's the important part.
He has short-ish but scraggly black hair, like jet black hair, and he wears, for a dwarf, a pretty well-kept beard. It's kind of a goatee, honestly, though it's long in the beard section. And you immediately recognize him as named Semyon, a member of your gang.
Semyon.
Semyon?
What are you doing here?
I am here. It's very long story, but
Good. Do not tell it to me. Come drink.
I'm going to pull out.
Not interested.
I unclip from my belt my bottomless mug, my bottomless stein, and hand it to him.
What is this?
Drink.
Thank you.
Not look.
No, he figured out
he
what
figured
it
out.
was right about that. He has seen these from a distance with great envy.
He knows.
Yes.
Ivan, this is friend of yours.
Duh.
All of that was a dwarf, by the way.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
because
can
he's
still
just
get the-
standing.
You recognize Ivan's?
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Honestly, probably wasn't. Just
fair
because
enough.
I've been talking with Gresh this whole time and I'm too drunk to
He
change
would've-
back.
He would have switched to match you if you replied in common. But the first
Wasn't thinking
line
about
or
it.
two-
I've been talking common for the past few hours. I'm too drunk to remember to switch.
Yeah.
But I think that is where we are going to stop for the night.
Okay.
Because we are running out of time.
That's fair.
So we will set up Ivan's friend and the end of the world.
Fight.
And what is probably a fight pit.
Fight
Next
pit. Fight
episode.
pit.
Also, the end of the world.
Yes.
Welcome to the ring at the end of the world.
I
Multiple
have my-
ends of the world
I have
simultaneously.
my meta cards here that I want to
Your stack.
that I want to
I am-
discuss with people once we go off the air.
But thank you all for being here with us tonight. We hope you have enjoyed it. We will be back here next week at 4 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
Yay.
The week after that, we won't be back here because I will be in Pennsylvania working at Colossal Con East. So come hang out at Colossal Con East if you happen to be at the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania in 2 weeks. If you are enjoying what we are doing, feel free to follow us here on Twitch or subscribe to our YouTube channel. Links to those. Whichever one you're on, a link to the other one is down in the description. We are also on social media if you want to keep track of what we are doing that way. We are on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. We do also have a Discord server if you want to talk to us in between our games. We very much enjoy communicating with other like-minded individuals. So if you want to talk to us, that is a great way to do it. We do also occasionally play community games on our Discord. So if you would like to play with us, that would be
Speaking
great.
of which,
Oh,
this upcoming break, I think, would be a great time to do another one.
You are correct.
Stand by
So
for
stand
more
by for the
information.
possibility that in 2 weeks there'll be a community game in a Discord server near you. And by near you, I mean in the description down below. If you really, really enjoy what we are doing and you would like to support us, and you should say happen to have a Twitch or an Amazon Prime account, that also means you have an Amazon Prime gaming account, which gives you one free Twitch Prime or Twitch subscription every month. If you would like to spend that with us, we would deeply appreciate it. It helps us with everything we do. Some of this stuff is not cheap. Or if that doesn't work for you, we do also have a Patreon. The link to that is in our description down below. If you would like to support us on a more ongoing basis, we would appreciate that as well.
It's true.
seems it.
So, hopefully we will see you once again next week here at 4 p.m. Eastern. Until then, stay safe, take care of each other, and remember, keep your friends close and your dice closer. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Bye.